Hello, welcome to PEEP Live episode number 5. My name's James Wailing, and we're very happy to welcome you back to our bi-weekly show. PEEP Magazine is your number one Northeast-based combat magazine. We cover all types of combat sports, from professional boxing, mixed martial arts, K1, kickboxing, and we also kind of span out into other areas on our PEEP EXCESS, which is our regular slot in our show. As I've said, my name's James Wailing. I'm the co-creator and head coach of Team Alpha, which is an ethos, a training method. Team Alpha incorporates all different types of martial arts training, nutrition science, supplementation, and also the sports psychology that covers it. If you'd like to follow any of my activities and posts, you can follow me on Instagram on Team Alpha 1424. You can follow me on my Facebook page at Team Alpha, and you can also follow me on Twitter at WatlingHot. Here at PEEP Magazine, for your, as we said, your up-to-date combat news as it happens, worldwide combat news as it happens. You can follow us on Twitter at PEEP Magazine. I shouldn't need to look at my notes for that. Follow us on Instagram at PEEP Productions, and you can also find us on Facebook at PEEP Magazine. You must be watching us. If you are watching the show, you're already on YouTube, so please follow us on YouTube and subscribe rather, and if you can, just hit that notification bell. And if you liked us, please give us a like, and if you don't like us, we'll send our special guest to come out and turn that dislike into a like. So we don't, hopefully we're going to have this is the last show actually of 2017, I should mention. It's the 1st of December. The time is just after 7 o'clock. I was hoping for some kind of Christmas look to the studio, as our chief head of operations at PEEP Magazine and my co-conspirator, Mr. Cliff Sainsbury, might have thrown up some Christmas decorations. I'm hoping to find a decorated tree, but without that, I'm informed that our special guest may well come on in a Santa Claus suit. If not, failing that, I am wearing Christmas green, so I'll get some comments about me not wearing my traditional show black, which I have to the left.
Well,
Cliff, we have...
Contender Promotions medal. That's quite Christmassy.
It's missing the green though, but I'll concede that a little bit. Well, I can't really. I don't know. We concede that. We need. Well, I've got the green, so that's bringing the red and blue. So I guess we're halfway there. So maybe we can throw out some Christmas graphics, Cliff. That could maybe come up. So the show run, as usual, we're going to start off with some combat news. So we're going to get right into it. So combat news, we're going to start with professional boxing. The Tony Bellew versus David Haye rematch has been cancelled, with David Haye suffering an injury, I believe a bicep injury. So perhaps a torn bicep. I didn't get into the nitty-gritty of exactly how it occurred. So that fight has been cancelled. The first fight, if you remember, was not so much controversial in the result, in my opinion, but just the matchup. I felt that David Haye was going to bring a little bit too much to the table. I certainly respected Tony Bellew, but Bellew's heart and determination and boxing ability were underestimated. As I said before, I actually won £30 on that fight. I watched it live with my cousin up in Scotland, and he handed me £30 and said I put a fiver or 10 or whatever it was on Tony Bellew to win that fight, and for me it was a well-deserved victory for Tony Bellew. David Haye suffered an injury to his Achilles, I believe, and he's been out of action. He's came back in and received a second injury, so it looks as if that fight is postponed rather than cancelled. In the sense it'll be on March the 24th or May the 25th, 2018. It'll be interesting to get your opinion on that, whether or not, and I'm going to ask our special guest when he comes on, his opinion on David Haye and his fighting career as we progress. He has suffered, as fighters do, as we all do, suffered injuries, but is that something that's likely to keep him out of the game long term? So that'll be interesting to find out. Now, as a side note to that, Tyson Fury, who we talked about a lot on last week, but on the last show, who I'm a big fan of actually, Tyson Fury. I think he's underrated. He's a legitimate world champion by beating Vladimir Klitschko. He's actually thrown down the gauntlet and he's challenged Tony Bellew, saying, why not fight an inactive champion? From what I understand, Tyson Fury is looking to return in 2018, I think early to mid 2018. So is that something that you would like to see, a fight Tony Bellew versus Tyson Fury? It's kind of interesting, because last week I talked about how David Haye and Tony Bellew, in my opinion, have kind of got their own little world going on. And then aside to that, we had Tyson Fury, we had Anthony Joshua, and Tony Wild. What was I calling him last week?
Tony.
So what's his real name?
Tony.
Tony Wilder. No, tell me. Deontay. That was it. Tony. I was calling him Tony. It's Deontay. Deontay Wilder. I've got to remember the old man from Deontay adverts. Deontay. Donate. Love Deontay Wilder. Big fan of Deontay Wilder. I think he's fantastic. He's great personality, great fighter. For me, he proved himself when he fought Stavern the first time. He proved he could go 12 rounds. He proved he could take a punch, and he proved he could box. One of his most interesting fights for me, and I do apologize, I can't remember the fighter's name, an Eastern European fighter. One of his, I think it was his fight, his second last fight before he rematched Stavern was against
Spilker.
Yes, Spilker. And for me, from what I saw, I didn't watch the whole fight, but Wilder seemed to have so much trouble with Spilker. Spilker was a southpaw, if I remember correctly, and he just seemed to be struggling to find his range and to find his feet and to land shots. And then from out of nowhere, I can't remember the round, I forget the round, from out of nowhere, Wilder threw that big right hand, and the next thing, sorry? It was quite late in the fight, I believe, and the next thing we know, Spilker's literally in a head brace and a stretcher. I mean, it was one of the most devastating knockouts I've seen, and thank God Spilker was, received no serious injury from that. So that world the world that I presupposed of Tony Bellew and Tyson Fury seems to have been that bubbles kind of burst in a sense. So Hayes out the fight. It looks like the rematch. I assume it's been signed for the following year. What did I say? Did I say May? But is it likely that Bellew may drop the fight against David Haye and look to perhaps fight Fury instead? That would be interesting. We discussed how Wilder, I believe, is fighting Dylan White. I think he's signed to fight Dylan White on an Eddie Hearn show. And Anthony Joshua. Have we confirmed an opponent for Anthony Joshua? So potentially what it would be, an Anthony Joshua fight, TBC, to be confirmed, at the head of that bill, with Wilder on the same show, bring them over to England to fight not Ian White, sorry, that's one of my friends who played the Predator in a lot of films, who hoping to get on pretty soon. Dylan White, with the idea that builds Wilder's profile, so to speak, in the UK, and then bring Wilder back in the UK to fight Joshua. In my opinion, the big money now is in the UK, for heavyweights, for fights. Yes, obviously there's the big money over in Las Vegas with the casinos paying fees to hold fights, and there's money there. Obviously the pay-per-view money, it doesn't really matter where the fight is in the world, you can still get pay-per-view no matter where you are. But I certainly believe that the big money is over in the UK. So it might actually make more sense for Wilder, who, from my understanding, and I haven't polled every single person who lives in America whether they're interested in box or not, but from what I understand, Wilder's profile in America, is not that great, where it would make more financial sense for him to stay in the US than to come to the UK and potentially fight Anthony Joshua in the UK. So that would be an interesting take on that. So, Wilder comes over to the UK, fights Joshua for a world title, Joshua's IBF world title, I believe, and Wilder's WBC world title. So we've kind of got a unification of belts. Yes, you can. Can we just point out that we once again have I'll just point this out, Cliffy, our show polos. Now, you kids, you cannot buy these polos in a shop. These are special show polos that we only have sent in for PEEP Magazine. Our special guest is also, obviously, allowed one. I'm going to take one myself. These are the special qualities to keep you nice and relaxed whilst you conduct live casts. Give you that sugar rush. Okay, so Polo, you may want to sponsor us, support PEEP, because we just give you a big shout out. So if you want to get in touch, we're more than happy to keep shouting you out on our shows. So we'll get onto that. So yes, Eddie Hearn has apparently commented that Tony Bellew must be crazy to take that offer. But is Tony Bellew crazy? What are your thoughts? I think Bellew is a fantastic gentleman, actually. He seems to be very level-headed in making his decision when it comes to his fights. I've got a lot of respect for him. What will Bellew decide to do? Will he decide to take a fight against Tyson Fury potentially? That could make a lot of sense. Bearing in mind, though, that Bellew came up from cruiserweight, so I don't have his weight in front of me. I think Bellew's, 220, 225? He's not a very big heavyweight. Height-wise, Bellew, I'm guessing 6'3", 220, 225. We're going to verify that on Google in a second. So he'd be giving away quite a bit of weight and height. I mean, Fury's is 6'9", I believe, and at the minute he's weighing over 30 stone. But I think Tyson Fury's... Sorry, not... Sorry?
97 kilograms.
That's what Bellew is. I say I'm not into kg and meters. It just doesn't sound as cool as pounds, like saying he's 220 or 230 and 6'3". But what I was saying, sorry, is Tyson Fury at the moment, did I say 30 stone? I'm way off my base there. Tyson Fury's 4 stone over his fighting weight. And I believe Tyson Fury's ideal fighting weight is around about the 18, 19 stone. I don't have the figures in front of me. We covered this quite a lot on the last show. Needless to say that if Bellew was to take the fight, he would be giving away a lot of height and a lot of weight against Fury. Now, you could argue that obviously Fury can punch, but he's not a big puncher in the terms of heavyweights. However, he's a fantastic boxer, and he's very unorthodox and very rangy. So that I think that Bellew would struggle against somebody that big, with that type of movement and boxing ability. So it'd be interesting.
13 pounds.
213, so he's even lighter than I thought. Did you say 13 or 30?
13,
yeah, it makes sense. So Bellew's 213, I believe 6'3", and Tyson Fury's, over 250, 260 at 6'9". So there's a big disparity in weight and height there. But also, as I say, take into account Tyson Fury's boxing ability. It's an interesting point here back in, I think it was 1919 when Jack Dempsey won the title against Jess Willard. Jack Dempsey's one of my all-time favorite fighters. Jack Dempsey was 6'1" and weighed in at around about the 187 to 190 mark. And when he beat Jess Willard was 6'6", as some reports say 270, or let's even say he was 250. So at that time, Dempsey was giving away easy 60 pounds in weight and giving away about 5-6 inches in height. And he mauled Willard within, what round did he stop in? The thought that it finished in the first round, but I think it was early on in the fight, the 4th or 5th round, Dempsey took Willard down and just destroyed him. So, we have seen heavyweight fights, obviously heavyweight fights when you've got a big disparity in height and weight, because you can be any weight that you want to be, but how much of a difference that will make for Bellew. So please let us know your thoughts. You can comment to us right now, preferably on the live feed, and we're going to read your comments out on air. We'll get my perspective, and we'll also get our special guest perspective. So the next piece of news, as I'm scanning through, is the IBF World Super Middleweight Champion and Olympic gold medalist James DeGale returns to the ring after 10 months inactive. He will be defending his title against a dangerous American Celeb Traux. Is he a French Canadian? American. He is American. Sorry. Is that right? Okay, Celeb Traux, if I'm pronouncing that correctly. And that will be on December the 9th at the Copper Box Arena in London. To be honest, I haven't followed a lot of James DeGale's stuff. I don't want to say fell out of love with the super middleweight division. I was a big fan of Carl Froch, rolled them off Joe Calazaki. We had Robin Reed. We had obviously the great Andre Ward, who recently retired. We had that Super 6 tournament back in the mid-2000s, I believe that was. So I was a big fan of the super middleweight division. And then if you precede that, you could talk about, that were they mainly middleweights? You had Nigel Benn, that was just before my time actually following boxing, Roy Jones, etc. So that's going to be happening shortly. So fans of James DeGale might want to tune in on December the 9th when we talk a little bit about that. What is quite exciting is the world, and that's exciting too, I don't want to take away from that, the World Boxing Super Series, which is dubbed the Champions League of Boxing. We talked a lot about that on the, not last show, but the show before. I think we had Stevie Ibbotson on. Shout out to Stevie. And we're talking about the Super 6 tournament, which I just mentioned, which had Andre Ward, we had Carl Froch, we had a number of top fighters on there, some of the best super middleweights in the world, apart from we had one fighter that was out of the tournament who Froch then fought and stopped in a couple of rounds. The name escapes me because I hadn't prepped that. However, we have now the 2017 kind of version, shall we say, of the Super 6 tournament, which we're calling the Muhammad Ali Trophy. The company, the company that's promoting it, the promoters rather, are Richard Schaefer, a very well-respected promoter, a former business partner of Oscar de la Hoya at Golden Boy Promotions, and Cale Sowland, not Sutherland, but Sowland, who's the ex-promoter of we're just talking super middleweights. Who was a super middleweight that Carl... Price. No, I'm thinking that Joe Calazaki beat him. Mikkel Kessler. I'm sure he's also a former promoter of Mikkel Kessler. So in the semi-finals, up to the semi-finals, and in the semi-finals, I'm sure you've all heard if you follow boxing. Don't think this has made it to any of the kind of the base media, so I don't think it's on the front of any of the regular papers. Not that I read newspapers, but WBA champion George Groves will be competing against Chris Eubank Jr., and that will take place on February the 17th, 2018 at the Manchester Arena. It's interesting. Did a little bit of a research on this. Chris Eubank Jr. He's a great personality, I believe, for the sport. I believe he's only got one loss on his record against Billy Joe Saunders. Perhaps, I think what happened was he was kind of outboxed by Billy Joe Saunders for the first half of the fight, and then he started to kind of come in aggressively. But I believe he was told not to by his corner with his dad and Eubank Senior's old trainer. What's his name? Great coach. It will come to me. And they were kind of telling him to box and what I believe. And then he said, let me do it my way. But apparently it was a little bit too late. And then Billy Joe kind of took that fight on points. But since then, Chris Eubank has kind of re-established himself, some tremendous wins on his record. He's a very well-conditioned fighter, perhaps one of the best, the most conditioned fighters out there right now. He brings a lot of power to the table, a lot of movement, a lot of boxing ability. I'm a big fan. George Groves, I've got to say, I'm not so much a fan of George Groves. He's a great fighter. He's a WBA champion. So you can't argue with that. Again, I guess it comes back to maybe it's an unconscious bias that I have because I'm a fan of Carl Froch before he retired. Obviously, Groves and Froch had those two tremendous fights. So I've never been a Groves fan. Who's going to win that one? We'd like to get your opinions on that. If you'd like to send some comments in, and we'll answer those on air. For me personally, George Groves has been there, done that. There's not really a lot he likes. He lacks rather. He can punch, he can move, he can box. He's obviously fought at world level. He's a genuine world champion. But I just think Eubank is bringing what I will call that X factor, that not the singing show, but a genuine X factor. He's just got something inside him that just sets him apart, I believe, because certain fighters have that. You can be powerful, strong, great boxer, etc. But certain fighters just have this kind of genome in them that just is brought out through training that other fighters just don't have. And I think that loss from Eubank has actually established him. Gone are the days, and I'd be interested to see what our special guest thinks of this, where you need to remain undefeated to be considered great. Defeats now, I think, went through a period where if you had a loss on your record, it was tragic. Losses on records actually means you've fought people and you've learned, in my opinion. And back in the day, if we talk on PEEP EXCESS, we're going to talk about this. You look at Max Baer's coach, Max Baer. I don't know if you remember Max Baer is a world champion back in the day. He was featured on the film, not featured, but one of the characters, but one of the let's say character is an actual person in the film Cinderella Man, which is obviously based on the true story. And Max Baer's trainer said to him once, put him against a fighter, and he said, I'm going to put, I think it was Tommy Lauren that he was going to fight. And he said Tommy Lauren was known as a fantastic boxer. And he said, I'm going to put you against Tommy. He says, you're either going to win or you're going to lose, but if you lose, you'll learn something. And that was a mentality back there. So you fight good guys, you take losses, but you come back from them. And the thing is, you've got to question it. If you're undefeated, is it because you're so good, or because you haven't fought at the elite level? You can remain undefeated by fighting guys who just aren't technically as sound as you, or you can remain undefeated by being, something very, very special. There's very few undefeated fighters in history. I mean, I'll try and name a few, and let's go across genres, so to speak, from boxing, MMA, kickboxing. Right, let's rattle them off. Okay, Floyd Mayweather, 1. Rocky Marciano, 2. Joe Calzaghe, 3. I'm struggling now. And let's say not, because you say Ricardo Lopez, but he had a draw. So no draws, no contest, pure something and all. Right, so retired, by the way, not still active, but retired with undefeated records. Let's think in mixed martial arts.
Want to say something?
I'm sure them fighters lost amateur as well, though.
Thank you. I was, as a professional, so as our guest rightly pointed out, each one of those fighters have lost. Floyd Mayweather lost as an amateur, certainly in the Olympics, because he bronzed in the Olympics. Rocky Marciano had lost as an amateur. And there's some controversy about perhaps some of his early pro fights were actually amateurs, but let's put that to one side. And Joe Calzaghe had obviously lost as an amateur. He didn't. Robin Reed took his place in the Olympics. So let's talk about retired pro kickboxers or K1 fighters that are undefeated as professionals. I can't think of a single one. Professional MMA fighters who've retired undefeated as professionals, not as amateurs.
Top level, I can't think.
Our guest can't think. It struggles, but there you go. So fundamentally, no fighter is undefeated. And the other thing, just quickly, I'm not a football fan. I guess might be. I don't really follow it. But what? But I often say though, what I often say to aspiring, professional fighters is, or anybody, that wants to be an athlete or achieve anything is, if you're into football and say what's the best football team in the world? What is the best football team in the world? Is it? I don't know. Does anybody know what the best football team in the world is?
Brazil.
It's got to be.
1970.
No, it's in who's it Ronaldo plays for?
Oh, the best football.
Football team in the world.
Barcelona,
Is it Barcelona? Well, let's say Barcelona, right? And there's two. So let's say Barcelona is the best football team in the world. Are they undefeated?
No.
How many losses? Like hundreds of losses. Now, I know that's a team, but my point is that to be great, you are going to lose. You cannot walk without falling over. And the idea now that making mistakes is, or wherever I'll explain that, making mistakes are wrong. Making mistakes are not wrong. Making the same mistake for say more than 1,000 times is probably wrong. By maybe 10 or 20 or 30 or 40, hopefully you've learned from it, and then you no longer make that mistake. So losses or mistakes are good things. We have this not imagery but factual imagery of a red cross for wrong and a green tick for right. Red is bad, green is good. That's not the case. Losses and mistakes are necessary to achieve anything, not just in athletic pursuit, but in business or relationships or any kind of personal success. Losses are an important part. Coming back onto it though, there's a 50 million payout. Now, it's not for the grand prize, but apparently collectively for the Muhammad Ali tournament, there's 50 million, is that dollars, which will translate, is it $1.32, I think you get now for a pound. So you're going to get 30% on that. So what's that going to be? 65 million, 35%, 30% off that. So it'll be like, about 35 million pounds. It'll be 35 million pounds total prize money, with the winners getting around what will be around about 7 million pounds, which is not a bad purse to have. I just wonder if our special guest fancies getting in on that. What's your weight at the minute? Could we get you down to super middle?
Super middle, I'm quite fat.
Fancy piece of that 35 million pound purse.
Sounds nice, but I'm about 108 kilos. So.
Right. What's that in pounds? So let's say 235? 236. I was a pound off, so 236. And what's the super middleweight limit is going to be? What is that going to be? 168. Can we do it? We'll sit with Team Alpha principles. We could get you down. With Team Alpha. What a height advantage would have.
Q Team Alpha.
Q Team Alpha. Let's stick that graphic up. Thank you. So Muhammad Ali Trophy. What's your opinion? My opinion on it is it's a great name because obviously Muhammad Ali is revered as one of the greatest fighters in history. I think it's great that we can get together, the best fighters of an era, or not of an era, perhaps of that particular time. Bring them together and have them fight each other. I like that format as well, like having like a tournament format. It's kind of cool because it makes it very easy to see, even those who don't have a great interest in the sport, belts to one side, even though I believe belts are on the line in these tournaments. So certainly we're in the Super 6, that you can just see, this guy's here, this guy. It's a little bit like when we're going to talk about on PEEP EXCESS about combat entertainment. I brought in Injustice, which is kind of like a little bit, it's from the makers of Mortal Kombat. You pick a character and you kind of take him through the ranks and through the tournaments. And we like this tournament format because it's very easy to see what's going on. So it's interesting. Right, we're going to bring our special guest, just so our special guest knows, if you win, what was it like 2 weeks ago in the studio, Cliff?
Oh, it was a bit chilly.
It was literally -3 or 4. I was literally going to have to say, look, I can't go on, but we've got this radiator by our side here. It's so warm in the studio tonight that our guest is getting tired, so I'm going to bring him on very soon. But last week, it was myself and Chris Reed, remember our guest from not last week, last show. We literally had to get some kind of saline fluid in us to bring us back to life. But this week it's warm. So, a little bit on UFC 218. We have Max Holloway versus Josie Aldo. It's a rematch. That is on Sunday, December the 3rd, Sunday, December the 3rd, 28. That can't be right. Is it January the 3rd, 2018? I've got Sunday, December the 3rd, 2018. So that'd be 2017 if it's this year.
2017, sorry.
2017. So that's literally, when's that then?
Tomorrow night.
Tomorrow night. Sorry, thank you guys. That's tomorrow night. The Hawaiian superstar, who debuted at just 20 years of age, is set to make his 17th walk to the octagon. A win will tie him with the great GSP and 4 wins away from Anderson Silva's iconic winning streak. So it'll be interesting to see how you, the viewer, feels about Josie Aldo returning to the octagon. And you know, if he does win, and it ties him with, and it does by, you know, the data point show, it will tie him with GSP. Do you believe him to be as great a fighter as GSP? And how do you think then, who do you think he should fight if he is then to compete 4 more times to match Anderson Silva's iconic winning streak? Who should he fight to achieve that? It's interesting in MMA when we're talking about, just quickly on win and loss records, that in MMA, you know, loss is fully accepted. So the last pro show we have, and we're going to talk, just quickly give you some local shows. Glory 49 Redemption is at Rotterdam on Saturday the 9th of December. Competing on that show, we have Ricky Verhoeven versus Ben Sadik, which is a rematch, and we have our own Jamie Bates versus Danenberg, and that is in K1 format on the Glory 49.
Jamie Bates? He was supposed to be, yeah. Was he? Is he hiding
We'll
on the table, Jamie?
I'll have a look. No sign of Jamie. We'll get him on the show. We'll get him on the show, an upcoming show for sure. For sure. When we like to wish Jamie the best of luck for that night.
Jamie.
Good luck to Jamie Bates. 17th of December, the NE6 Suite. Our number 1 promoter, David Wield, and PEEP Magazine present Duel Fights. This is Escape from Walker. We have the posters with us in the studio right now. Graphic up. Tickets are still available at the ibboxingtickets.com. Headlining the show, we have Lucas Paraviak versus Thomas Denham, and I apologize for butchering your names, people. Christian Joplin, Rob Barry, Joe Johnson, and a trilogy fight with Andrew Davison. Show poster on screen, so I assume that's the graphic to be shown, not me to read it off the chart, right? Done. Okay, don't forget that people are looking. We are expanding as we speak. We're actually growing as we speak. We're looking for videographers and sound technicians to join in and to come and join the show, to support us, become part of the team rather. You work on some large-scale productions in 2018. This is not an entry-level position, so if you're looking for a challenge, contact us at www.peepmagazine.co.uk. If somebody was hypothetically just qualified, for example, had their degree from uni, and we'd certainly have a look. And you know, if you had the talent, this might be a good place for you to come and kind of expand that talent and show us what you know. Mm-hmm. No handicaps, no. So we want the real deal. If you just, on a serious note, if you have just finished your degree at university and you're looking to expand your knowledge of film and sound, then give us a message at PEEP Magazine, and we'll go. And sales as well, yeah. So we're looking for sales technicians and videographers as we expand our show.
Up to 30%. It's 30% commission.
30% commission on any successful sales. I might get some of that commission myself. I'm known as a very good salesman, actually. Have you heard of Jordan Belfort? The Wolf of Wall Street?
Oh, yeah, of course, yeah.
Oh, you're looking at him. It's good, actually. Watch some more Jordan stuff. Just recommend that to people. Well, watch the film, but also listen to some of his interviews as well. He's an interesting guy, and read some of his books. He's just got a new book out, actually, which is very interesting to do with his sales technique called The Straight Line. And it's basically his sales technique and how he developed that and used it for evil, so to speak, and now he's using it for good. So, say again?
Is that how you take your cocaine?
No, that's it. I stay off that. I stay off that whole hornet's nest. For me, it's just polos, show polos. We're gonna get you on the show polos when you come on. Exactly. Right then. On that note, we're gonna bring in our special guest. He is age 34. He's a professional fighter, an accomplished combat athlete, mixed martial artist. Boxer, K1 fighter, and bare-knuckle fighter. We're going to find a little bit about his training regime, the amount of years he's been training. He is unbeaten as a bare-knuckle world champion. He has 29 wins with 15 KOs and 3 losses. His total fight record, I understand, but we'll check. We'll confirm that when he comes on. He is a WKL and WKF international kickboxing champion. K1 international champion. I think I said that already. And he's the Golden Belt World Thai boxing champion. And he will be competing against very soon, which we'll give you some details. His nickname is the Thrill or the Meerkat. Although he might dispute that as he comes on. So we'd like to welcome into the PEEP studio Mr. Mickey Tyrell, hey. Michael Tyrell. How you doing? Nice to see you, Mickey. All right.
Not too bad.
Good to see you. Thanks for coming and joining us tonight. Is the studio warm enough for you tonight?
Oh, it's boiling. It's
not too bad. I was going to say each week what we do, we have a joke chair which we kind of rig to fall apart as somebody sits on it. But you've selected the. Does it feel solid?
Good, no. I'm quite fat, so it's managed to last.
It's holding you up. Fantastic. So, how are things? How's things going?
Not bad. I've just started training again. Obviously, I've got a fight in I think it's six weeks today. I think it might be.
Right.
So started training maybe his last week before. Just get a proper good hard training by them.
Yeah.
Because I just like to keep on the boil before that.
Yeah.
Obviously 6 weeks before fight, you've got to push yourself, haven't you?
Yeah, of course. Yeah.
So I'm in that stage now, and I don't enjoy it.
It's funny. We talked a little bit about before the show about you're asking me how I felt as we're getting older. If you still enjoy your training, and I think I'd said that I still enjoy my training, but I enjoy my breaks more as I've gotten older. How do you feel about that? I
think as you get older, you've got more things going on, haven't you? I've got kids. Yeah. I've got a couple of properties that I'm trying to renovate.
Fantastic.
Working full time, training full time. I'm trying to train other people, so it's getting the time. Juggling everything up. Obviously, your wife's back home complaining you're not in the house, but you're only young ones.
Yeah, of course. I mean, that's the thing is you only really you have a certain window of opportunity to do something like this.
Got to sell by date like everything else.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, that was one of the questions I had for you actually. So do you compete? Is this your profession, just fighting as a profession, or you have other
I'm an electrician.
Well?
I'm an electrician by trade, so I work full time as an electrician.
Right.
Obviously, I got into property development.
Right.
So I've got a few properties now. So, but it's time consuming.
Of course,
you don't realise you're working full time. You're trying to decorate, lay floors, and still train people and train yourself. It's hard work. You either got to get up early or go to bed late. Yeah. And you probably end up doing both.
Yeah. And it's interesting when you said having family as well. Obviously, that's rightly so. It takes a lot of your time and your emotional time as well, doesn't it? So it's trying to balance it, I guess.
Well, I've got 3 kids,
Yes.
So 2 of them are playing football. So you got to get 2 of them to football. You're trying to make time for the 3rd one. Yeah. I've got 2 huge dogs, so I've got to walk them a lot. Yeah. It's just like you say, you've just got to. If you complain about it, you'll never do it. You've just got to do it.
Yeah, it's interesting. I mean, I have cats, so with the dogs, I've
got cats too.
You got cats? So how many cats you got?
I've got 3 cats. I've got 2 American Akitas.
Oh, have you? Right. Yeah. I've got a Russian blue.
I've also got a Russian blue called Bruce. Yeah.
Fantastic. There you go.
You can't be allergic to them. I'm allergic to one of my cats.
Yeah.
So that causes I get asthma.
That's
you cannot be allergic to Russian blues, I say.
Yeah, that's right, because of something to do with the hair, isn't it?
Yeah, it's the protein on the hair. So we've got a Russian blue as well called Bruce.
Fantastic.
What's yours?
Nightwing.
Yeah, that's a better name than Bruce.
Good man, cat person as well. Fantastic. I mean, I do love dogs, but I just about to say just before we have the question, I do love dogs as well, but for me, it's just I wouldn't have the time to be there all the time and have the space to have them.
They're restricting. I mean, I'm lucky I've got quite a big house, but you've got to take them for constant walks.
Yeah.
But,
I love huskies, but I would only have one if I had a lot of land and a lot of room and the ability to get them out. Because the last thing I want is a dog just locked in a room all day and night,
My dogs won't weigh in the garden. I've got to actually take mine out. They just refuse to do it. So it's a nightmare.
It's demanding. Sorry, what was the question?
Chris Reed, flower arranging.
I don't know. Yeah, and that's Chris Reed, our guest from last week, asking about flower arranging. It's not ever been a passion of mine, actually. Is that just a question, flower arranging?
Yeah.
It's what's it called? There's a name for it. It's a Japanese art, and it's called. There's an art of it, and the idea is that the samurais would basically arrange flowers because they found it would give them a lot of internal peace. So that's an interesting point. But I don't know if the question was, do either of us arrange flowers? I'd have to say I don't. But my favourite flower is probably a rose.
A rose? I don't have a favourite flower.
No?
It's, I think they're for girls, really. So I just hit people for...
Yeah.
That's my hobby.
That was a bit there. I was just going along with a bit there. So
yeah, I hit people for a hobby.
There you go.
Than arrange flowers.
It's okay. So you've got a challenge coming up. You've got a defense coming up. Mickey Tyrell versus Jocelyn Burns, who's an American fighter. That's at the Indigo O2 Arena. Josh Burns. Once again, we're going to blame Apple for the spell correction, and that's Saturday, the 13th of January at 2018. And that's a defense of your Bare-Knuckle Boxing title. So can you tell us, the viewers, a little bit about Bare-Knuckle Boxing and what's entailed with that, the rule set in a sense, the rounds and that type of thing. I mean, bearing in mind, we talked about this, I think, last week or the week before, with Bare-Knuckle Boxing, how initially boxing was bare-knuckle. You had we talked about the scratch line, the last champion being John L. Sullivan, and then it transitioned to, was it Jeffries or Corbett that was the first glove champion, because as they changed the rule set, he then became the first glove champion, so the baton was passed over. But before that, it was bare knuckle. I mean, you could wrestle at one point before they took that out. So what's involved in bare knuckle boxing nowadays?
Bare knuckle boxing, I would say at the moment, is just like it's professional. They say it's professionally get paid, but I would say it's just at the moment unlicensed boxing.
Right.
Without gloves,
right?
Fringing on to going further. They're trying to. The company I fight for, it's the biggest one in the world. It's BKB, and they spend the money to try to get big names in. We've had lots of MMA fighters from the UFC,
right?
Melvin, what's he called? Gillard.
All right, okay.
Melvin Gillard's come over. Trying to think of the big American names that they've had come over. Joe Riggs, Joe Diesel Riggs. He come over. He's fought. One of my favourite Americans, he wasn't in the UFC, but it's Eric Olson. He's, I don't know if you follow the bare knuckle, but he's good crack him.
Right. What's his name, sorry?
Eric Olson.
Olson, right, okay.
He's Marmite, really. You've got to love him or hate him.
Right.
But he's cracks unreal.
Right.
So, is he from the UK, mate?
No, he's American. He's from New York. He's good crack him.
Yeah.
But lots of people don't like him. Lots of people do like him. Like I say, he's Marmite. I love him or hate him, but if you're nice to him, he's nice to you.
Yeah.
And he's one of the better Americans I've found that come over.
Right. In the sense of his personality or his fighting ability, or both?
Bit of both. He's very outspoken. And he's got a way with words.
Right.
That some people don't like.
Right.
But like I say, he's game kid. He comes over, he fights K1, fights Thai boxing.
Right.
He fights bare knuckle, he comes for a fight. And I'm sure the first time he fought, he actually paid for his own flights to come over.
Right.
And I'm pretty sure he just come over just to have the fight, see what it was like. Because
Right.
it's illegal in America. I don't know why it is, because I'm pretty sure it's safer than real boxing. I'm certain the boxing gloves come out because the men were getting gangrene. I think that's why boxing gloves come out. It's not to protect the opponent's head.
No.
People were getting fractures and breaks. Back at the time, the medical people weren't that great. They were getting gangrene, they would end up getting amputated or dying. So the boxing gloves has come out to protect your hands, not the fight. I mean, I've got mangled hands at the minute, but
they look like flower arranging hands.
With big lumps all over them. But it's just one of them, isn't it?
It's interesting that you said that, because I think that I mean, obviously if it's 18 and 20 ounce gloves, and I will reflect back on Mac. Remind me about Max Spur, if you don't mind, Cliff, because I was going to make a point on that. But the misconception can be that if you wear a pair of gloves, you're protecting the fighter's head. In actual fact, you're potentially damaging the fighter more, because it allows you to hit him for longer.
Yeah, you get concussive blows, don't you? That's the problem.
Yeah.
When you're getting knocked out, that's your body saying, pack it in, you've had enough.
Yeah.
When you're not getting knocked out and you're on the verge of being knocked out, but that little bit of padding stopped it, that's when you get concussion. And a lot of fighters have died after fighting, rather than dying, like, I don't think there's many died in the ring. Yeah. I think there was that one where the lad took the stuffing out of his glove.
Yeah, that was, what was he called? He was Panama Lewis.
Yeah.
Panama Lewis, so he wasn't the boxer, he was a trainer who'd removed the padding.
Yeah.
That's right, yeah.
But I think normally, if a boxer dies from fighting, I think it's a lot to do with dehydration as well.
Yeah, absolutely.
Exhaustion.
Brain,
and you've had a lot of blows to the head, and it's a concussive blows, and that's what happens later on. They'll go to sleep, probably not wake up.
Yeah, but
that's the game we're playing, it, and that's a risk you take.
So how do you feel about head guards then? That's another little
I hate head guards.
Yeah,
I was spawned with Huey Fury.
Do you want some water, make my way?
Yeah, please.
That's fresh. I've not touched that. That's just fresh. Yeah.
I'll be all right. I'll just
I've not had any from that. It's fresh.
I was born with Huey Fury and I had the Clito Race head guard.
Yeah.
Now the Fortunes, and I was desperate to get one, but it's got a big nose bar on it.
All right, yeah.
Which is really good. It stops you breaking your nose. But Huey's fights with his hands sort it down. So by the time the punch got in my face, I didn't see it because there's a big, huge bar there. So I think it was just after the first round, I think it was his dad, Peter, just says, can I take it off? Because usually a pro boxing trainer one of us has got to wear head guard. Stop the cuts, but he let we both didn't wear one. I just find that you overheat wearing them. I just don't like wearing them. You don't see hooks. They keep moving. You spend half your spar pulling your head guard back. I mean, these are expensive head guards. They still move. But I think when I started doing amateur boxing, I just took them out. I didn't have to wear one. Amateur boxing.
It's interesting because, I mean, I suppose one of the advantages to wearing one is the fact that they are restrictive. You feel uncomfortable, you can't breathe, you can't move your head as much. And then when you take it off, you feel lighter and you feel like, you can breathe properly and you maybe improves your conditioning, but that's at the detriment of you getting hit more. And do you know what I mean? And that side of things as well. But I think they're more effective for protecting cuts. And I'm sure there was a study done saying that it can be more damaging wearing one because you're getting hit more, but it's also more of a thud, like a sandbag thud rather than just a clean shot.
You get that, it's like a fuzzy feeling you get if you get caught with a very good shot. You get that little, it's like you float. A fuzzy floating. But I'll start off Thai boxing, and I don't. We didn't wear them. I think it was because people were grabbing onto them and kneeing
of course,
kneeing you in the head, practical, So we just never wore them. And like from a Thai boxing gym, we used to call people torts, really, if you will. And now you're not. It's a safety thing. But I come from a tough Thai boxing gym, and you got cold if you wore one, so I just never bothered. It's
interesting. I mean, the debate with the head guards. Is it sorry? No. Is it a good thing? Is it a bad thing? But yeah, I think the advantages that they give perhaps leads to too many disadvantages.
If you're prone to cuts, I would definitely recommend one. If you've got a broken nose, wear one. But if you're a good level boxer, you should be defending yourself. You should be parrying and slipping. It's like you shouldn't be clashing heads. You're meant to be good boxers. You shouldn't just be going and trying to nut each other. It's not a fight. It's a sport.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, talking about that now. So we've talked a little bit about how I think we have a question, which we'll before.
We've got a lot of questions. Well,
what we'll do is what we're going to do with the questions is we're going to move on to some of the questions now. And then what we'll do is save all the questions. We'll have slots of questions over the course of the interview.
Right. I'm gonna shout two out.
Yep.
We've got a question from Chris Reed. Our friend Chris Reed. Can you ask Michael what fighters inspire him or have done along the way? So
the question from Chris Reed. Hello, Chris. Good to have you watching us on the show. He was a guest of ours from last week. So the question from Chris is, what fighters, to Michael Tyrell, whoever in the studio with us right now, is what fighters have inspired you over the years? So what fighters inspire you? Is that correct? What inspire over the years?
I had a few over different aspects of sport because, like I say, I started Thai boxing, K1, went into boxing. I think really the Thai boxing, I think you've got to see Raymond Deckers. He was phenomenal. Bakau at the minute, and Badra Hari. Badra Hari's my favourite at the minute. But towards boxing, I think Joe Lewis was my favourite boxer of all time.
Right.
Recently, Calzaghe. Calzaghe's probably been the best boxer of my era. But Joe Lewis, I just like the style. He had a good style. I like the way he threw the right hand. He twisted his full body into it. He did not extend his arm. He was still getting the full power. He was good,
Did he have the rematch with Max Bears?
Well, we're going to talk a little bit about that actually. No, we're going to bring that up because obviously
Max Schmeling.
Schmeling beat him in the first, and then he came back and kind of damaged him in the second.
It was Jack Johnson helped Schmeling beat him the first time. He saw weakness.
Yeah, that's
and
right.
Schmeling, Jack Johnson actually wanted to train with Joe Lewis, and they rejected him. They just says no. So he went off to train Schmeling instead and showed him this weakness and caught Joe Lewis. And it was a good shot. Picked yourself up, and like we says, if you get beat, you should give yourself a kick up the arse and get yourself back into the gym. you kind of just get beat and give up.
Back to the lab.
If you give up, you're not a chump.
I agree.
You're a quitter.
Yeah.
You're a quitter.
Yeah.
So if you get beat, you pick yourself up. You say, right, I'm back in the gym. I'll get him back.
We've got one more question for Mike.
Another question?
It's from Zach123 Beth. Josh Burns is not on Mickey's level. Mickey is a class fighter. Better does he will be a walk in the park. Because that's what he thinks.
No worries. So it's not really a question. It's more of a statement from Zach123 Beth, and the statement is that is it on the upcoming fight? Sorry, in Mickey's upcoming fight against Josh Burns, that basically he's not in Mickey's league, and I mean I don't know if Mickey would agree, but I would say no fight's really a walk in the park. However, he feels that. That Mickey will be too strong for Josh. So how do you feel about? Let's talk a little bit about your opponent then. How do you feel towards your opponent, Josh Burns? Do you feel he's bringing anything? And preceding that, I don't know. We must have got diverted. But with Bare-Knuckle, I mean, the round system. Can you tell us a bit about the round system? How many rounds there are? How long the rounds are? What you have to wear? And then a little bit about your opponent and how your feelings towards him.
The rounds. It's normally 3 2-minute rounds. If you're fighting for a title, it's 5 2s.
Right.
Which you shouldn't really get tired. 2-minute rounds. For the Bare-Knuckle against Josh, I mean, you just wear hand wraps. It's just a thin hand wrap. We'll have a hand wrapper called Sammy Cheese, I think her second name is. She does all the hand wraps. She does an alright job. It's the least you've got on, the better, really. But Josh is a nice lad. I like Josh. At the moment, there's nobody left to fight. He's the only one left. I fought everyone else in the heavyweight division at this promotion. I wouldn't say he was tailor-made for us, but I prefer to counter-fight. I've had to go forward on a couple of fights, but Josh is like a bull. He'd come out like a bull in a china shop. He's going to run onto us. I'll try and counter with shots. He's shorter than me, but he's built like a brick shit house, really. He's muscly, he's a big unit. Right. But he trains with Mark Coleman. Is it the Hammerhead Gym in America? Trains over there. He's top security bloke over America. And to be honest, he's a nice kid. He's a really nice bloke. He's very well mannered, polite. He's a nice bloke, but he didn't have a fight. He's beat everyone he's had to beat. And there's no one left in the division really who I could fight. It's
I mean, what's your feelings for? So you feel he's going to come out and is that his style to come out and try and blast? Or?
He's fast, yeah. He's got a fast start. I've got a slow start. He's got a fast start. I think he's just going to come out, try and pull us into a corner and rattle me head off. Really,
bombs away. I mean, how do you with it being obviously Bare-Knuckle or with hand wraps, essentially Bare-Knuckle, as against wearing 10-ounce gloves, which obviously the professional boxers do, and they're boxing 12 3-minute rounds. Now I've watched some of the footage, the Bare-Knuckle stuff, and I'm hypothesizing here that it's a case of being able to land that one good shot, not coming out and looking for one shot, but looking to get that shot maybe off a combination rather than looking to wear your opponent down.
Mind you, I try to wear my opponent down. I don't know what it is with a Bare-Knuckle, but they try to just like blast you out in the first round. Come the second round, you can see they're knackered.
But what I'm saying is that almost as if to say you're looking to chip away for that one shot, rather than you could land say 4 or 5 big shots and because they would carry more.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. I think the more experienced lads will relax, stay calm.
Right, got you.
Like the lads who've had a lot of fights are going to stay relaxed, stay calm. Let them come and bull in, try and cover up as best you can. Move off, and then when they're tired, pick them off. And that's basically been my style all the way through. It's I've been dropped a couple of times. You've just got to pick yourself up a couple of times. You've come in, you kind of cover every shot up, and Bare-Knuckle, especially at heavyweight. I was never actually a heavyweight. I was never ever a heavyweight. I was never a boxer. I was never a heavyweight. But the chance arose, and I took it.
It's interesting because we're going to talk about your evolution from kickboxing through to boxing through to bare-knuckle boxing. But how does it feel taking a punch with 10-ounce gloves and taking a punch with no gloves? Or is there a difference?
There is a difference, yeah. It's a sharper punch. It's a sharper, and sometimes you find yourself lying on the floor and you think, how's that happened? It's if you get caught right with a bare-knuckle, you'll go down. I don't care what anyone says. It's With a 10-ounce glove, I don't know if you can absorb it a little bit better. I mean, I've never been dropped with 10-ounce gloves with a headshot, but I've been dropped 3 times with a bare-knuckle. So, I mean, I've been kicked in the head, I've been kneed in the head, and I've never went really down with a headshot. But in the bare-knuckle, I've went down 3 times. Right.
And why do you think that is then, the difference between throwing a punch, a bare-knuckle punch, and a bare, not a bare-knuckle, but a shin kick, for example, or a bare knee? Why is the fist so dangerous? And this is interesting because if you look at likes of not Pride, but what was that show? Was it not Shogun? There was basically it was a Japanese promotion. You could only hit with an open palm.
Like a slap.
Yeah, like a slap.
But like a shoot boxing type.
Yeah, like a shoot boxing, but it was a promotion. I can't remember the name of it. It was interesting. But you could, and this is the thing, it's like, and when people would cover it, in a sense, or talk about it, they would say, well, you can kick them, you can elbow and knee them, but you can't punch them. How does that make any sense? But you're saying that you've been kneed and kicked, hadn't mentioned getting elbowed, but presumably been elbowed as well.
Yeah.
And none of those have dropped you, yet a bare-knuckle punch. So why is a fist that has a give to it so much more dangerous, hypothetically, than elbows and knees and shins?
I think it's they get there quicker.
Right.
You'll be kicked in the head once.
Yeah.
And unless he's super fast on his legs, he'll kick you once. Yeah. You can get caught with a flurry of punches. Yeah. I find as well, with the punching, sometimes you just don't see past the guard. I mean, I was always quite good at reading people's body language. If they were going to hire a kick, I was already riding the shot. Or like moving away from it. So you're actually taking a lot of the power out of the shot. But sometimes with a punch, you just don't see it. And I find as well, especially in the bare knuckle, you tend to keep a boxing guard. But the hands can still get through these little gaps.
Of course.
You think you're covered up.
Surface area,
Now, when I spar with 16-ounce gloves, I purposely jab like that. I don't turn my hand that way. And I jab like that because of that guard. I want to get through that gap. Whereas with a bare knuckle, you're all going to get through that little gap. The fist fits straight through. So I think the guard's got to tend to be more... You think you're protected, and then you just get caught.
So you're punching more like a Wing Chun punch then? So it's
no, you still punch properly. It's just when you I'm saying when I'm sparring with
just when you spar.
I wear 18-ounce gloves to spar, so my gloves are about that wide. Now, if you've got your guard up, my hand's not going to fit through your guard. I've got 18 ounces. Whereas if I punch like
turn
that,
it and come through,
it still goes through. So I'll jab. You lose a little bit of power in your right hand, but at least you get to jab someone. Do
you find it's quicker as well not to turn your fist over?
You get a longer jab.
Right.
But being from a kickboxing background, I would jab maybe kick with the same side left kick as well. So you lose a little bit of power on your right side because you're actually turning your body that way. So you've got it takes longer for your right hand to get back. It's different strokes for different folks.
Yeah, absolutely. So let's segue into how you got into. First of all, how you got into training, your first experience in martial arts, and kind of your progression. Not kind of, but then your progression from your first martial art, whatever that was, through into, as I've mentioned before, your K1, your kickboxing, your Thai boxing, your boxing, and then on to bare knuckle. So basically, your first experience in martial arts, how old you were, and then your progression through.
I was 22.
Right.
First walked into the gym. I was
quite
late.
old for
I was
in a
late.
sense. Yeah.
I played football. I was like any British kid. You play football, don't you? That was the only thing you knew. I mean, I think our schools are terrible. They teach your kids to play football, rugby, rounders.
I agree with that. I could talk all night about that.
How many professional rounders players have you met in England? There's none. So I started playing football. I wasn't the nicest of footballers. I was more for tackling rather than playing the ball. So one day I just thought I might as well do something where I get a pat on the back. So I joined Barry Norman's Thai boxing gym in Baker.
Right. Is that the old school one that was underneath the garages?
No, it was the one on the Baker wall.
Right, okay.
So I went along on my own. I was trying to get one of my pals to go. I went on my own, and that's the best bit of advice I can give anyone. If you want to do something, go on your own.
Totally agree with that.
If you go with your friends, you're relying on your friends to go. I just went on my own. The gym was friendly. Just put you in, and you learn how to hit and punch and kick people. And from there, I loved it. I had my first fight at 23. And I'd done Thai boxing for a good 3 years, and then had an unlicensed boxing fight. And I just couldn't get any Thai boxing fights at the time. So I had an unlicensed boxing fight in the Park Hotel, I think it was. And really, I wasn't a good boxer. I was a terrible boxer. And I've just come back away from the unlicensed boxing. Later on, I got into K1, mainly the money.
Yeah.
It was Dave Wield. We've mentioned Dave Wield before.
Shout out Dave Wield.
I got on to Dave Wield. He ended up being my fight manager. He's probably the most honest fight manager you're ever going to meet. And he pays you. He paid as well at the time.
That's novel, isn't it? Yeah, you actually get paid.
Dave just wants good fights.
Yeah.
And he's willing to pay for it, you know. And I was lucky he saw something in us, and I fought in a couple of his shows. He gives good money, and then he put us on to bigger shows. And there's not very often you find people like that. I was lucky I found Dave.
Yeah.
We've actually got a couple of questions from Dave.
Yeah, we'll fire. It seems a good time to go into those.
I'll shout out the Dave ones, but there's a lot before that as well. But I'll shout out the Dave ones.
We'll do the Dave ones, and then we'll continue the interview, and then we'll have our questions. We'll get all the questions together.
Is the big North Tyneside clash that everyone is waiting to see looking like it will happen in 2018? David Wield.
Is the big
Northeast Tyneside clash that everyone is waiting to see looking like will happen in 2018?
So the question from David Wield is the big Northeast Tyneside clash that everybody's waiting to see going to happen in 2018?
You can only hope. That's.
Can we get inside info there, or you don't have to go any deeper?
No. It's. I joined the Bare-Knuckle company for one reason. I wanted one fight. It's a fight everybody wants to see.
I see where we're going with this now.
Yeah. It's probably just going to be the biggest fight in the Northeast.
Yeah.
The other lad's got a few personal problems. He's unable to make it at the moment. But he put something on Facebook the other day saying that he might be back this year. Hopefully he is. We'll get the fight on. Get it put to bed, really. I'm getting old now. I'm trying to wrap in, you know. I'm hitting the end of me tether, and like I say, everything's got a sell by date. Yeah. Mine's nearly up, so just want to get it on quick and wrap in.
So would this be a fight that? How long would you hold out for this fight to happen? I know it's a fight you've been pushing for.
Yeah,
if I'm not mistaken.
I mean, how long do you wait? How long can you wait? I'm getting old, you know. Depends how fit you keep yourself in it. If a fight come about, I might get a bit excited. I mean, this is no disrespect to the lad neither. No, there's nobody left to fight. He's the best at his game. I think I'm the best at the game as well. You don't want to fight crap people. If he's the best, I want to fight the best.
Yeah.
I mean, I've got nothing against the lad, you know. He's a canny kid. But you want to fight the best, and he's the best.
Yeah, absolutely. So do you think this is potentially something that could happen for 2018?
I'm hoping so.
Right.
I'm hoping so. But you just got to fight who they give you. And once they've given them, you go on to the next one, don't you?
Yeah.
I don't ask who I'm fighting. I don't ask for opponents. I just say, if you've got an opponent, gives a shout, and I'll say yes.
Yeah.
All fighters should say yes. If you want to be a fighter and you want to be a champ, you say yes. And that's it.
Just going back onto what we spoke about before, that you so your first experience in martial arts was Muay Thai with Barry Norman.
Yep.
And then did you stay with Barry Norman all the way through? Or
I was 28. I was 28.
Right.
I stayed with Barry. I'd done really well. I won a couple of Northern Area titles, a couple of British titles, UKMF Northern Area titles as well. I'd done well with Barry. I had a good record. I think I was unbeaten when I left Barry's.
And where did you go after you trained? So with Barry, it was Muay Thai.
Muay Thai,
and then we moved.
And then I moved. I found a training partner called James Cannon.
Right.
He was a big heavyweight from East Coast MMA in Whitley Bay.
Yeah.
And he was a good all-round fighter. And as I say, I was getting pushed. And at the time, I don't know what happened at Barry's. There was a divide in the gym. A couple of the lads had left. A couple of good sparring partners had left, opened their own gyms. A couple of the lads had left, opened other gyms, and then there was a bit of a void. And it's a horrible thing to say, but you know, like you strive to be the best in the gym.
Yeah.
And when you become the best at the gym or the king of the gym, I'm not being big-headed. I'm just saying.
No, it's just that king of the gym is a fact.
I wasn't getting beaten in the gym, and it becomes a lonely place. You're not getting hurt. You're not getting punished.
Yeah.
You make mistakes. You get away with your mistakes, and you've got to move on to the next. A gym's only as good as the sparring.
It's progression.
Yeah, it's if the sparring's not the gym, you find another gym with sparring, and that's what happened. I found James Cannon. He gave us that little extra push, and to be honest, I was going to wrap in then. think I was 28, and I fought a lad called Romy De Silva.
Yeah, I was going to ask you about that. I think I watched. Was that at the Liquid nightclub?
It was at Liquid nightclub.
I was there for that one.
Yeah,
I saw you on that one.
I thought I was winning that fight quite comfortably, and he snapped my leg.
Is that what happened? I saw somebody. Did you drop him in that fight?
No, I think I was beating him. I think I was beating him quite comfortably. But he's very good leg kicker. He was kicking my front leg.
Right.
And he goaded us in. I kept lifting my front leg. I was blocking it. It didn't hurt, to be honest.
Yeah.
He was kicking my front leg. There was no pain there. I thought, easy work. Yeah. And what he done is he was clever. He swapped his hips. He went for the front leg, dummied it, swapped his hips, kicked me back leg that I was standing only on. Yeah. And he tore me IT band.
Right.
And,
so that was, sorry, that's a tendon that was...
Yeah, sorry, not snap the bone.
Right,
just,
the bone, sorry.
No, he didn't snap the bone, he tore me IT band in my leg.
Yeah.
I couldn't straighten my leg for 4 months. But what got us, I was going to wrap in. And at the end of I'm good friends with Romy now, he's one of my good pals.
Because you fought in boxing rules fairly recently.
Yeah, I fought him twice since. Yeah. He's a tough kid, I fought him 3 times. Yeah, at the end of the fight, I'm sure it was Bristol or Brixton where the real get it on, and he said whoosh. Now that looking back, I know he said whoosh, or like fighters go whoosh, whoosh.
The Brixton Massive or somebody said as well. Brixton Massive.
Something like that. And anyways, I thought he called us a wuss. That's what I thought. I'd never heard of whoosh at the time. I thought, he's called us a wuss. I'm lying on the floor with a snap leg and he called us a wuss. So I never slept for a year. In fact, I think I was punching in my sleep. And I managed to get a rematch on Richard Ence's show, Eco. Yeah, and I got Romy back then. Anyways, after that fight, we become good friends when I realised he wasn't calling us a wuss. He was just shouting whoosh.
Yeah. You also fought on the Fight Fest show as well.
Yeah, I fought him after that as well, boxing. I beat him that one as well. I like Romy. I mean, we had that fight there and then I took him out for something to eat. He's one of my good pals, you know, but he's a tough kid. He comes for a fight. And he can leg kick and really leg kick.
So I'm assuming then you moved from K1 into boxing was to let the leg heal then, or was it just a financial move?
No, East Coast MMA had shut down.
Right.
There's another one of my pals as well, Dave Ferguson, Mark Ferguson. He was looking for his last boxing fight at the time. He put it on Facebook.
Yep.
He's a heavyweight boxer. I was in prize fighter. And he had put on Facebook, has anyone got the balls to fight us on my last fight? And I was only 87 kilos. I think it was 116. And my mate, I think he's called Nathan Surrey, phoned us up. He went, he's looking for an opponent, someone with the balls to fight him. I went, go on, I'll have a go. So I fought him. That's how really I got back into boxing. I moved to Lee Graham's gym in Howden to get some boxing experience. Lee helped us loads. I lost a very close decision to Mark. Didn't argue with the decision. I lost that one, and then moved on. I ended up starting to do amateur boxing after that.
Right. So amateur boxing, as in you were the ABA had sanctioned you to
yeah.
Right. Okay. Right.
Yeah, so I went from unlicensed
straight up amateur boxing.
Yeah, I went from unlicensed to amateur boxing.
Right.
And it was.
So how old were you now when you went into amateur boxing?
I would have been 30.
So that's obviously 30. Old to go into.
Yeah,
because some of them are starting at 5 and 6. So what was you did you have any like long-term goals, or was it just a case of wanting to compete?
I got promised to fight every day of the week.
Right.
I knew my time was running out. I wanted to fight as much as I could. And the amateur boxing shows that they fight Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday. It's not just Saturday nights. So I went into that because I thought I can get a fight every day of the week. I wanted to try and get a lot of fights into us. I joined Lee Graham's boxing. I done all right. I went down for my first amateur fight. I went down and fought a lad in Hull. And he was a super heavyweight. I was a cruiserweight. He was massive. He was absolutely massive. But I beat him. And then I fought a lad called Blaze Mantori. I think at the time he was ranked 10th in the world as an amateur. And I fought him in Ashton and I beat him. And then I went into the ABAs and I got a bye all the way through to the final of the Northern area.
Right.
I fought a lad called Michael Watson. He boxed for England. And still to this day, I think I thought I punched him all over. I dislocated my shoulder twice in the fight. just managed to pop it back in. I think even after that fight, I'm sure he even says, like, I thought you beat us there, but I lost on a split.
Yeah.
On a 4-round fight, which I don't understand why people put 4 rounds on. I think if you won a fight, it's got to be an odd number.
Yeah, 3 or 5.
3 or 5, and then you're going to get a winner.
Yeah.
I don't understand even rounds. I don't get it. But I lost on a split anyways, so I don't know how that one worked. But I thought I'd won that. And then from there, I went back to K1. I was fighting on Super Combat.
So how did you feel going from boxing back into K1, which is when obviously you're kicking and...
It's getting the stance. It's getting your stance right. Yeah. I think the K1 on the my stance, Thai boxing, I was very square. In the boxing, you got caught a little bit more, but I had a stronger right hand because I was square on. Now that I've done a lot of boxing, I actually done a little bit of K1 sparring this week, and I struggled just get my stance back. You know, trying to get, because I'm now side on, trying not to get hit. I went into it and I was getting my legs kicked, but it'll take a couple of sessions. I'll get it back.
Yeah, and then so from having been competing in the ABAs, the Amateur Boxing Association actually like sanctioned bouts, moving into K1 on Super Combat. How did you then transition into Bare-Knuckle?
I'd actually just broke my hand the year before. I'd shattered my thumb in 4 bits.
Right.
I hadn't fought in a year. And there was an Irish travelling family called Quinn.
Right.
The Quinns. I think they made a documentary on them called Knuckle.
Knuckle, yeah.
Yeah, and anyways, his brother, his opponent had just pulled out. They were looking for an opponent. Dave Wheeled again. Dave Wheeled phoned us up. He says there's a fight there next week. He's meant to be the Irish boxing travelling champion or something. He says there's a fight there next week if you want it. And I went, I best get myself running then. So that was it. If you ask us for a fight, it's a good chance I'll say yeah. Like if I'm not obligated through contracts or anything, I'll fight you. Like so, Dave asked us, and I said yeah, and that was it. I beat him, and then from there I had like a couple of different organisations contact us trying to get us to fight for their organisation, and I actually chose Knuckle. I'm a great believer if you fight for somebody, you win the belt, you try and fight, you know, defend it. Yeah, you've got to be loyal. I try to defend it. Anyways, there was a few little things happened in the company and it sort of fizzled away. I think there was a managerial dispute or something, and the company just went into nothing. So I phoned BKB up, and luckily they took us on. They're the biggest company. They're the A to B, you know. They tell you what's going on. They don't really tell much lies to me. So I just went with them and just went from strength to strength with them, really. And
now you're the BKB champion. BKB world champion.
Yeah.
So what's your long-term projection? So actually, here's another question. So are you intending to stay in Bare-Knuckle boxing, or would you be tempted to go back into K1? Or
I'm contracted exclusively to Bare-Knuckle boxing.
Right. So that's your
yeah. I've got a contract. I get good money off them.
Yeah.
And I'm contracted to them. I got offered a really good fight in Germany against a lad called Michael Somlik.
Yeah.
And I got offered £10,000.
It's not bad. Is that dollars or pounds?
Pounds. £10,000 offered. There's a little bit less. I said no.
Yeah.
They come back with another offer. I said no. Come back with 10,000. But I was contracted, and I like to try and be loyal. So I said no. You cannot. I'm contracted.
Yeah. Yeah.
But
maybe time to ask BKB for a raise.
I think they're trying to give us a reduction.
Really? Well, you're the world champion. So yeah.
Questions.
No worries. What we're going to do is we're going to transition back to some questions. I've got a couple more questions for yourself, and then we're going to move into PEEP EXCESS.
He's got a lot of fans, Michael.
Excellent.
Question from Stephen Harrison 5IH5YGT. Question for Mick. In his opinion, who is the best fighter in the Northeast coming through that stands out the most? Boxing.
Who was what was the name? Just not the whole tag, but the
Stephen Harrison.
Harrison.
A question from Stephen Harrison asking Michael, who do you think the best fighter is in the Northeast that's coming through the ranks? So I assume young fighter coming up.
Lewis Ritson.
Hey, Lewis.
Is that our Lewis Ritson?
Yeah.
Yay.
Yeah.
Blood brothers, boys.
Actually,
Were you actually done a documentary on Lewis Ritson.
Did you?
Yeah, we called it Blood Boys.
Blood Boys.
And it's online now. It's in 3 parts.
Yeah.
We did a nice interview with Lewis Ritson and his dad. They're a great family.
Yeah, they're cracking.
Just won the Lonsdale belt, so I mean that I suppose says why.
The kid's good. The kid's good. You know, that time when I was fighting the ABAs, I lost my non-area title. Lewis won his. It was on the same night.
Right.
His dad done me corner.
Fantastic.
Yeah. Dave Ritson. I've done all my boxing. I've got all my boxing badges, you know, for the amateurs.
Yeah.
I've done them all with Dave as well.
Right.
He's a crack bloke, you know. He's a good trainer. He's got a good gym there as well.
Yeah.
And Lewis is, he's a credit to him, really.
Yeah. Yeah. So good to have a lot of young kids coming. I know training a lot of young kids coming up as well, and really supports boxing in the community.
They're a boxing family, you know what I mean? Davey was a boxer, Lewis was a boxer. It's they love it. They love the boxing, and it shows. We've got a full gym there.
Owen Ray's there as well, the who trains Lewis.
Yeah.
Owen, I don't know if you know Owen.
I think I do, you know. I'm sure I've met Owen. I know, didn't Lewis go up to Scotland when he first went pro? I was up with Burns.
He was up there for a year.
Yeah. I mean, it just showed how good he was. He went up and sparred, and I think they paid for everything. Took him up there. The kid's good, you know. Hopefully he'll go all the way.
Such a nice kid as well.
Great guy, and a Lonsdale belt holder. You know, it says it all. And we're hoping that he's going to defend it. He talked of defending it to retain, then Commonwealth, European, and going that route. You know.
Yeah, we went down like Manchester to watch. But,
on to the next. Another question.
We've got another question from Mark Costigan.
Right.
Following from her one Kane Sid. Don't know. Did you fight someone called
Harry?
Harry
Miles.
It might be that, but a little more specific. Who was Mickey's toughest bare-knuckle fight up to now? The one against Cowboy Michaels Quinn was a war.
So the question was from. Can you read the name again?
Mark Costigan.
Mark Costigan's question initially is, who's been your toughest bare-knuckle boxing opponent? The fight against Cowboy was a war.
It was a war. I have to say, that would have been the hardest fight. It's the only fight I cannot remember. I got dropped on the first round in that fight, and I can't remember nothing more. I woke up in the Indians later on that night. My wife had stripped us of my purse. Says I give it to her while I was concussed, and I can't remember the fight. The kid caught us with a good shot, folded us in half, I think, and nearly snapped my leg going down. But you just got to pick yourself up, haven't you? I can't remember the fight. I must have been on autopilot. The only thing I remember is I got up and I winked at him and I says, it was a good shot, that mate.
Yeah.
But he really rattled me head, that one.
So what happened after? Can you remember getting up and?
Can't remember nothing. It was a 5-round fight. It went 5 rounds.
Really?
Yeah. I think I put him down in the 4th round. I put him down 2 or 3 times in the last round. But he really put me down in the first round. And luckily I can't remember because I think it would have really hurt.
Yeah.
So luckily it didn't. I can't remember the pain.
That reminds me of what was it? It was Larry. I think it was Larry Holmes who said Ernie Shaver's potentially one of the hardest punches in
ever.
history.
Yeah.
And I think Larry Holmes had said something like that when Shavers hit him, he was grateful he hit him that hard, because if he'd hit him slightly less as hard as he did, he would have been unconscious, because he hit him that hard. He actually walked back up from it and he was able to fight on.
It happened to me that, I fought Arnold Boratov and the K1. I think he was number 1 at super heavyweight. I think I was number 1 at cruiserweight in the country. And they says, would you go up the weight and fight him? And at the time I was only 85 kilos. I think I fought the month before 87 kilos I weighed in. And I just couldn't get the weight on. And I was on a litre of ice cream every day trying to get the weight on.
That's a good.
I was on red meat. Red meat ice cream. And anyways, I weighed in 89 kilos. The fight was meant to be at 95 as a catch weight. He coming at 96. And I let him off for the kilo stupidly.
Yeah.
I says, don't worry about him, mate. And then it was the next day, he come back, he was about 110 kilos.
Put on like 15k.
He was about 6'7" or something. I mean, I'm not little, I'm 6'3", but I looked like he was a giant towards us. And you know what it is? I thought I beat him the first round and a half, and then I think it was the second round, he sort of had some sort of hook, spinning back fist, which both missed, and then had another hook and quarters. So it was like a helicopter shot. And I think I was out. When you look on the camera, my knees went together and I flopped down to the floor. And then he kneed us in the face when I was sort of in the fetal position.
Woke you up?
Did I? Woke us up, and I just sort of got up and walked towards him.
Yeah.
But I think if he had left us, I was out.
Yeah.
It's funny how that happens.
It's
It was kind of when Carl Froch and George Groves, the first fight, when Groves hit Froch, and if you look at it in slow-mo, Carl Froch is out.
Yeah.
He gets hit, but when he hits the ground, you can see he wakes up,
Wakes.
he jumps straight back up.
It's like a switch on, isn't it?
Yeah.
You've been caught, you've got to wake up.
Yeah.
It's the best thing about fight sport. You know, in a game of football, that's what I keep saying to my kids play football. Disappointing. But if they lose a goal, you know, say someone scores into them, they just put their heads down, shrug their shoulders, they walk back the halfway line. I've conceded. And fighting, you can't do that. You switch off, you're out. You've been brutally knocked out or hurt. You cannot switch off. And that's why I love the game. You've got to be alert all the time. It doesn't matter who you're fighting. You could be fighting a 5-year-old kid. It's happened to me before. My little 5-year-old, when at the time he was 5, wasn't paying attention, he knocked us out. It's you've got to be switched on.
But hopefully you weren't actually fighting him.
No, do you know what it is? I was watching at the time my telly was on the wall, and I'll stand up. I was stood on the wall. I was watching the telly, and the Burns punched us in the balls. So I wasn't expecting it. We weren't actually sort of play fighting anything. I've just been stood like that. He's punched us in the balls. I was sort of down, and then he clocked us one on the chin, and then walked off with his hands in the air, shouting, "I'm the champ." But it did nearly knock us out.
It's an eye opener. I've got a story like my son Rhodes, and shout out to Rhodes because he's watching tonight. When he's probably about maybe 5 or 6, and I was kneeling down just coach him on I just had my hands, so he's hitting bare hands, but he had like MMA gloves on. And this is my version of events, and I was kind of kneeled near the radiator. And like he was throwing punches, and I parried one, and I says, "You see, if I do that, Rhodes," and I explained about the parry, and as I did, he threw like an overhand right, punched me on the chin, and I lost my balance. I fell back, hit my head on the radiator, and you know when you're like on your knees and you folded back, you can't really move. And then he jumped on my chest, and I went to push him off, and he then armbarred me.
You've taught him so well.
Yeah, so the moral of the story is that we both been.
Don't have kids.
That's a crack. Watch out for the 5-year-olds. Coming to the end of not the end of you being here, because we'll hope that you stay with us for the rest of the night. We've got a little bit because we want to do some PEEP EXCESS. Last 2 questions. So when you're not training, how do you spend your time?
With the family, really. I run a gym, so I'm always at the gym.
Shout out to the Man Gym.
Yeah, it's the Man Gym. It's a hard gym. It's good sparring. If there's any heavyweights out there want some sparring, get in touch because I like sparring people. I try and train once or twice a week, and I just keep my hand on it. But I've got a lot of fighters fighting my gym, so I just train a lot of people, try and eat as much as I can before I'm ready to train again.
Talked a little bit about that before. I said I'd take you out for a meal, but we'll go all you can eat, because then otherwise I'll be bankrolling course after course after course.
People don't realise, I mean, my fight weight started off at 85 kilos.
85 so that's about 187. Yeah, 13 stone.
13 stone. 5.
Right.
I think I was. Now I look like Freddie Mercury when he had AIDS. That's how thin I was, and I look like when he was dying actually. And you're on chicken and broccoli 4 times a day. I would have chicken and broccoli in the morning. I would eat my broccoli raw, because I think as soon as you boil your broccoli, you've took the goodness out of it. So I'd eat raw broccoli with a chicken breast. And then I have chicken and broccoli with a handful of nuts, mixed nuts, to try and give my body some fat to work on. And then before the gym, I'd have chicken, broccoli and a jack of potato. And then after the gym, I'd have a chicken. And that's what I had for nearly 7 years, 8 years.
And you stuck to that pretty much rigidly?
Well, I was fighting, and it's a horrible diet. I've got 3 little kids. Yeah, I've got 3 little kids who've got a cupboards full of cakes. And I used to open the cupboards and nearly cry looking at cakes, and then go and get me a bit of broccoli. And it's a horrible diet, and also when you're not fighting, you binge eat. And it's a funny thing, because you'll be the same. You try to binge eat after you fight, and you cannot. Your stomach's shrunk that much. You cannot get the food in you. I mean, I would buy Haagen-Dazs strawberry cheesecake. That's my favourite ice cream. So I'll have ice cream, and I'll buy a tub of Pringles, and I'll have like a pizza, and you cannot eat it. You try your best to get it in, you bloat yourself, it's horrible. So now I'm a heavyweight. I eat well now. I like eating.
I love, I like to have my coffee. I like my desserts as well. I'm a big fan of dessert. I like my chocolate too.
Yeah, I like puddings.
Yeah. I do. I mean, I always think, I mean, what I do is follow like an 80-20. So 80% of the food I'm eating is like clean athletic food, and 20% I can have like little treats. But I'm very disciplined, but because I'm eating well, like my blood sugar is very stable, so I tend not to have cravings. But you know, it might be a case that if one night I want to have, you know, fish and chips, I'll have that. If I want to have pizza, I'll have that. Me and my boy might have a pizza together and a cup of craft beers or something like that. But you've got to have those treats, and you can't be super strict all the time.
I'm more 85-50 in me. Yeah, but it's 85 treats and 15 healthy at the minute.
That's it.
I try to have like low fat crisps rather than fat crisps.
Yeah. Are you more sweet or savoury, man?
Sweet.
Yeah, I'm
definitely
sweet. Yeah.
But it's all about balance, man. So, you know, if you're going to have like a Big Mac, have a Diet Coke.
Yeah, you can balance it out, haven't you?
Yeah.
Hey, listen, Warren Buffett, one of the world's richest men, his diet consists of just like steaks, just banana sundaes, Cokes, not Diet Cokes, Cokes and sugars. So
does he live in America, him, does he?
He does, yeah. He owns Coke. He's one of the world's richest men, but his diet just consists of constant kind of junk. So,
well, I think if you train hard enough, you should be able to eat what you want.
Yeah.
Just if I have like a big cake, I'll just try and train that little bit harder.
So you got to, hypothetically, we go to Costa Coffee. What you're ordering from the sweet selection? You know, from they've got all the
Rocky Road.
You got Rocky Road, yeah.
I'll not have a coffee though, because I'm too young for coffee. But I just don't like the taste of coffee. I would have a hot chocolate.
Not a coffee, so you're on hot chocolate, yeah.
Hot chocolate with marshmallows and a Rocky Road.
That sounds good. I would go for, because I used to have drink 3 or 4 coffees a day, and I'm down to just 4 a week now.
Yeah.
Because I just came off cold turkey. Funny enough, Chris Reed, he said to me, "Oh, too much coffee's bad." I know the statistics behind it, but he says, "Oh, come off coffee." So when somebody said that to me was a challenge. So therefore, I had to do it.
You had to do it.
So I went cold turkey for, I think it was 10 to 12 weeks, no coffee at all, and now I'll have 4 coffees a week at set times. But it's like this great thing for me to have this coffee. I've got to have my treat with it, but I do like a hot chocolate as a little kind of tie over.
I'm going hobnobs with it.
Say again, the
chocolate hobnobs.
The caramel underneath.
No, I just have chocolate hobnobs.
Right,
the full packet.
Right. I'm on board with that. I'm gonna go caramel. Are you a caramel slice man? I
like caramel slice. Yeah, anything caramel or fudge I like.
Yeah. I'm on board with that. Last question for you. Well, actually, we'll give you our guest question at the end. But just quickly, your future plans for the sport, for bare-knuckle boxing, which is your sport now.
Yeah. Hopefully, I'm going to retire 35. I've told my wife I will. I'm just waiting on for that one fight that everyone's been wanting to watch in the Northeast.
Yeah.
But I think once 35 comes, I'm an old man. I'm middle-aged then. I don't think I'll live longer than 70. So 35 is middle-aged for me, and I think I'm just going to concentrate on family life and get as fat as possible. I think I'm going to be a diabetic next year. That's me life goal.
We'll see about that. Can I give you our guest question?
Yep.
What's your favourite Ridley Scott film and why? Shout out Ridley Scott. He's a fan of the show. I didn't know if you knew he's actually.
Yeah, I like Prometheus. It is. I was done
really?
Prometheus. Yeah, I like Prometheus. It's I like that. My favourite film all time though is what's it? It's just lost us there now.
No, it's fine.
Leonardo DiCaprio. It's Scorsese.
It's not Shutter Island, no.
No. It's the it is my favourite film. Well, Jack Nicholson as well.
Oh, yeah, I'm with you.
Departed.
It's not Departed,
Departed. Right. It used to be Goodfellas. Goodfellas was my favourite, but I just think there's a lot of good twists and turns in that. The Departed.
That's your film.
Yeah,
number 1 film.
I like that film now. Oh, The Town. The Town's good.
Yeah, I love The Town with Affleck. I watched that. It's a film for me you can just watch over and over again. Yeah,
I like any sort of like gangster flick. Really, I like to watch.
I thought The Town had a lot of levels, a lot of layers to it. You know, I love that film. What we're going to do now, then we're going to move on to PEEP EXCESS. We're just to be a brief PEEP EXCESS, I think. Yeah, of course. Yeah. Let's do it. We've got a competition and PEEP EXCESS to finish off with.
I David Wheeled to James.
Yes.
The Japanese promotion was Bushido.
Bushido. I was going to say samurai. Thank you, Mr. Wheeled. Yeah, Bushido.
Frank Shamrock used to fight in that, did he?
I think he did, yeah. There was a Japanese fighter who had like red shorts on. That was his signature shorts, and he was my favourite fighter in Bushido, and that was it. They could only fight open
Baz
palm.
Rutten as well. Baz Rutten, did he not?
He may have been in that. I can't confirm that. I'm sure. Who do we just say? Who was the first chap you said was in Bushido?
Frank.
Yeah, Shamrock I think was in Bushido. But I certainly remember this Japanese fighter being in. But I can't confirm Baz Rutten, but very possibly so.
No, I'm fine, thanks.
So we're going to finish off with PEEP EXCESS. It used to be called, what was it called before PEEP EXCESS? Have we got a graphic for it? Yeah, we have got a graphic. We're going to put a graphic up for PEEP EXCESS. It used to be called PEEP Mix, but we changed that up. So what PEEP EXCESS basically is we just look at other kind of areas rather than just concentrating on training and fighting. We might be looking at books, or we might be looking at film. We might be talking about art. We might be talking about science. We might be talking about, different topics, streetwear, things like that. So tonight we're going to talk a little bit very quickly about combat entertainment. Just basically, obviously we've got a world champion in the studio tonight. I'm a professional fighter myself. We obviously follow boxing. We follow fighters, but the combat genre itself is very popular in different forms of entertainment, such as books, such as film, and such as video games. The reasons for this, why are they? Would like to hear your comments. I mean, I think it really appeals to our like inner values and inner selves to see someone overcome adversity. So someone who's perhaps come from a poor background or they've kind of lacked in certain areas, are able to build themselves up through hard work, through discipline, through dedication, confront a challenge, overcome that challenge, and become victorious. And that really appeals to us, especially to men and to women, but especially to guys, walking that road and, slaying that dragon, that metaphorical dragon. That's something that really appeals to us. And that appeal has been used on various demographics and genres. And I've got some of those in this studio with me tonight. We're not really going to talk too much about them. We're probably going to dip into Cinderella Man a little bit deeper. And don't forget, these aren't so much reviews, but overviews. So on the gaming side, I brought in a game called Injustice, Gods Among Us, which links up to last week's title, which was a superhero genre maker. We're talking about why the superhero genre of film's so popular. And as I was saying before, it's just that kind of classic story, which, from biblical to that you have a person that's overcoming adversity and triumphing at the end, and that really appeals to us. Now, the superhero genre really does highlight that, where you've got these super kind of super characters who are battling these big monsters or overcoming them, and we just want to link ourselves onto that. Are you a fan of the superhero genre?
I am,
films?
yes, yeah. I like the Marvel.
Yeah.
I watched the Batman versus Superman, but I think there was a bit too much going on.
I agree. Yeah,
it was like lots and lots going on.
Then that was the edited version. They were just trying to put too much in, I think, to kind of set the scene for future films.
Yeah.
Whereas I think Marvel have had taken the time,
Yeah. I mean, I like the superhero films, but sometimes if there's too much going on, I tend to switch off.
Yeah.
I need to have some sort of story, some dialogue, rather than just loads of just chaos.
Yeah. I think it's interesting because obviously not everybody who's watching competes and fights, and nor should everybody have to fight or compete. But everybody has their own individual challenge. I don't know if you agree. And I think part of our purpose as human beings is to find some type of challenge and purpose and kind of do what we need to do to overcome, to achieve that, and then walk a new road after that. So we're constantly looking for challenges and constantly looking for purpose. And I think without that, life becomes quite empty. And I think with the superhero genre, it's almost like you may be doing that, but you can attach yourself to figures who are doing that on such a high, and I don't want to say a high level, but not unrealistic, but like a fantasy level. Yeah. And then we can kind of link to that. So I don't know how you feel about that.
It's you should always want to push yourself, shouldn't you?
Yeah.
It's I think as well, with the superheroes, we've all been a kid, and
we've
all watched
appeals
them.
to that.
If I wanted to be Superman,
definitely.
If I wanted to be Wolverine, I remember as a kid, my dad told us they were doing operations where you can get metal in your bones.
Oh, really?
And I was going, I'm in.
So I was going to buy into that as well. I was like, oh, did they really do that? I was
only 10 or something. Yep, that's what I want to do. I'll have that. Yeah. But he was just winding us up, So
it's interesting. I mean, the injustice is we're talking about. We're linking it then for this combat entertainment. Basically, it's based on the Mortal Kombat games where you select your character and you pitch your character against another guy, and it's almost like that tournament format at sport with the Super Six and the Muhammad Ali tournament where you're beating progressively tougher and tougher guys to kind of get through, and I think everybody wants to, as we said before, wants that challenge and overcome challenge, and it's a way to do it in your front room and still get that kind of dopamine release of that you've achieved something, so. The combat, and that's just have a superhero kind of swing to it. There's obviously UFC games, there's the boxing games, you can get all these types of things, and it's very, very, very popular and entertainment side. Warrior, from the film side of it, we're talking about the combat entertainment. Warrior's a fantastic film, which I watched. It's been out for a while now. This isn't a recent movie. I think it was maybe 2012 that it came out.
Tom Hardy.
Yeah, Tom Hardy. Yeah, Tom Hardy and Joel Edgerton, and that tells the story of two brothers who have, kind of parted ways, and were former mixed martial arts fighters. Joel Edgerton's character is a teacher, and he's kind of drawn back into the mixed martial arts world because he needs to earn money because he's going to lose his house. Tom Hardy is an military veteran who kind of comes out of the forces looking for direction, and they end up going on this tournament format as well. And then the father is an ex-alcoholic, and they're kind of reconnecting with the father.
It's a broken family or something.
Yeah, it really appealed to me. I mean, when I'd heard about it, funny enough, the first thing I'd heard about it was I was doing some coaching at a gym over in, I think was it not Durham, Sunderland way, I think. And one of the guys said, we're going to see Warrior. I didn't really like it. The fight scenes weren't that good. And straight away I latched onto that thinking, well, for me, I don't know how you feel on this, but for me, I'm not going to see a film about a fight movie for the fight scenes. Yeah. I'm going to go see it for the characters and the story. Because if I want to see a fight, I'll watch a fight.
Yeah, I'm like that. I'm probably one of them as well. Well, again, that's not real.
Yeah, you can pick it to pieces, couldn't you?
But again, you want to see a good story, like Rocky. Yeah. The fights are never great in Rocky, but I mean, a couple of times, I still do it now. Rocky will hit the deck and get straight back up and he hasn't got a count. Yeah. Again, that wouldn't happen. But it's a good film because it's a good story.
Yeah.
Anybody hits the deck, you've been punching him at the deck, you're getting an A count. Rocky doesn't.
Yeah.
But the story's good,
Have you seen Warrior?
I have, yes. Yeah.
What did you think of it?
I thought it was all right. I thought it was quite a story about a broken two brothers who fell out trying, and I think at the end they don't become friends again, but they have a little bit of respect for each other. I think. Yeah. Doesn't he give up the fight or something?
Reconnect. Yeah. I think actually, well, no spoilers, but I think I don't know if you've not seen it, but basically they end up facing each other at the end of the tournament. Yeah. And it's quite interesting the way the tournaments are set out, and it gives you a bit of
he needs some money for his house or something.
That's right. Yeah, he's got. Well, Joel Edgerton's character is going to lose his house, so he has to end up then fighting to keep his family off the streets. And in a sense, it's a cliche, but I just thought there was. I mean, Tom Hardy and Joel Edgerton are great actors as well, so bring a lot of gravitas.
I was just going to say, what's he called? Joel Edgerton.
Edgerton, yeah.
Well, it is. I saw him in Black Mass with Johnny Depp.
Yeah, he is in that.
He's in that, and I thought I know his face from somewhere. Yeah, but he's also in Smoking Aces. Have you seen that film?
I haven't seen that. I've heard of it, but I've not seen it.
He's one of them actors where he looks different in every film.
Yeah, he's a real character actor, isn't he?
You don't know he's in films because he looks different in every film.
Yeah, he's a great actor. And I mean, as we said before, with on the film genre for the combat entertainment, obviously Rocky's probably the most well-known combat kind of
Cinderella Man.
With
Cinderella Man, the film.
Cinderella Man, Cinderella Man's another one that's based on a true story. We're going to talk about actually because I was going to dig out Cinderella Man the film, but I couldn't find it. And I thought Warrior would be quite a good one to bring in. But Creed came out fairly recently as well, which is kind of starting the ball rolling again on the Rocky movies. No,
still haven't seen it. No,
it's worth a view.
Is it?
Yeah, it's good. It puts a different perspective on it. I don't know if it's using Apollo Creed's son.
Yeah, I know the storyline. It's just I think I got to Rocky 6, wasn't it?
Yeah. I think it got to it got
to Rocky 6, and I'm starting to think, how many more can you do?
Yeah. How much longer can he go on? Did you see the movie Southpaw, which was one of my all-time favourite combat movies?
No. What's it called?
Southpaw.
Oh, Southpaw,
Southpaw,
yeah. With Jake.
Yeah, Jake Gyllenhaal.
Yeah. I saw some of it.
Yeah.
I think the wife had it on. I'll come in like 20 minutes
kind of thing. Yeah. That's definitely worth a watch.
Well, again, that one had a story. It was like
deep story.
I think they were growing up and they were home and stuff together. She got killed.
That's right, and he had his daughter as well. And he's kind of bringing his daughter out with care, and it's a really powerful story. But yeah, I mean, as we said before, so the combat entertainment on the film side is very, very popular for the reasons we've spoke about before. People kind of want to attach themselves to fighters and to those trying to achieve to overcome obstacles, overcome opponents and become victorious, and there's so many different areas and swings that you can kind of put onto the fight genre, and it's very, very popular, and it's just taking classic human stories and putting them up on the big screen.
There's a good series out. I think the series just ended at the minute. Ray Donovan.
Right.
So there's a lot of like gym stuff. Boxing gyms. Yeah. That's a good series to keep your eye out for as
Ray
well.
Donovan. Right, I haven't heard of that. Is that on Netflix or?
No, it was on Atlantic.
Right.
Cracking watch that.
Yeah. That's a recommendation there. So what's your favourite? You're not into gaming, no?
No, I don't play any games.
Are your kids into games? Or?
The kids aren't into games.
Are they play fight games or?
Yeah, they've asked for Call of Duty this year. So
right.
It's a war game.
Yeah.
Still a fight.
Real fight. Yeah. That's the real thing, isn't it?
I think I'll take them paintballing one day though and realise that once there's no second lives. When you get into the real thing, you get shot. It's quite easy to get shot paintballing.
Extra life.
Yeah.
I
think they want to join army, my kids, and I'm not into that. I'm not into going across another country and having a fight for something that means nothing to us.
Well, that's the whole thing, isn't it? It's when you join the army, you kind of you're going where you're told to go, aren't you, to fight for something that you may not believe in as well.
I still think that Afghanistan thing, we went over there looking for weapons of mass destruction. We found none, and we're still there. If you find none, you come home. Say sorry, we've invaded your country, we've terrorised you, we're really sorry.
Yeah.
But we haven't done that. We've stayed there for the past 11 years, 13 years now. But in 2001, 16 years we've been there.
It's if we're going to go political, we'll not get too deep into the politics. However, it's a No, but I was just about to go off into a one there. It's big business, isn't it? And
that's what it is, and it's money in it. War's money.
But then you could argue that war itself is what is the right and wrong wars? War is inherent in man. War's been with us for since the dawn of man, so to speak, and it's always going to be there.
The majority of your soldiers are 18 to 20.
Yeah,
young
and
kids, fearless. Let's get the young kids in, they're fearless, and they're dying for nothing.
Yeah,
and I just think my kids aren't doing that. You're going to be a plumber instead.
Yeah,
or an electrician.
Yeah,
I'm an electrician. I need a plumber. And I need a bricklayer and a plasterer. That's what I need.
This is it. If you're defending, for example, with the world wars, we're talking about
if somebody's invading you, fair enough. Then you're going to fight. But what are we doing there?
It's a difficult one. When you start talking about, why we went over to Afghanistan, what are the purposes behind it? Is it just the oil? Is it because, is it the money from creating, the weapon industry is a big business and going over there, rebuilding, restructuring, there's money in that. Is it just about money?
We've got to rebuild it because we've bombed it.
Well, this is it, but there's money in that, to send over contractors but anyway, so it's
went off tangent there.
We did go off tangent, but it's a relevant tangent for Mick. Yeah, I'm just going to put the microphone in a bit, Mick. Just
sorry.
Go.
I know what.
But and that being said, though, we fully support. I certainly fully support our troops as one of the best army. We've got the best army in the world, and
the army does are told. I just don't believe in the orders going over there.
Well, what's in the I don't know if you've seen the movie Troy, but I'm paraphrasing here. But it was something like war's always been old men making decisions and young men going out to die, and that's essentially what it is.
And then my last dog after Troy. That's what my dog was called, Troy.
Troy,
my old dog. Aye.
Did you watch the movie Troy?
Yeah, that's why he's called. That's why he's called.
Yeah.
Called him after the film.
It was a good film. Just coming back onto the combat entertainment, and we're talking combat. Books, we're going to move on to books. I brought in a book, The Cinderella Man, which is a story, the true story of James J. Braddock, rise to the top when he fought Max Baer for the heavyweight world title. James J. Sorry, my microphone yet? James J. Braddock, I believe, had fought for the light heavyweight world title, which he'd lost. The depression hit America, which was in the were we talking 20s?
I thought it was the 20s.
Yeah, in the 1920s, the depression hit. He lost a lot of his money. A lot of banks were just shutting down. Obviously we had that not just the credit crunch, but we had that financial disaster in 2008 when some of the top investment firms have started to shut down. The housing market had bottomed out, which is probably relevant to you of interest because toxic mortgages, etc. People being given keys for houses they can't afford, etc. But this was back in the real, another depression in the 20s where banks were literally just wiped. Banks wiped out. People losing houses, people losing money, and James J. Braddock, all his savings from his light heavyweight fights, he just lost. They're gone. So he's literally got no money, not too many prospects other than just being a professional fighter. But then he started to rack up losses. He broke his hand, which might be relevant to you. So then he could no longer box. He could no longer fight. And I believe in one of his latest fights, because he couldn't throw his right hand because it was broken, they kind of called it a no contest, or said he wasn't trying, but that's because he couldn't throw the right hand. So then I think the boxing commission had kind of dismissed him and said, look, you can't fight anymore. And then he had no employment. He had, I think it was 2 children that he had. I'm going by the book, not by the film, because I'm not sure how much the film's changed for drama. I think he had 2 children, his wife May. So he's got them in an apartment. They can't afford to pay the milk. They can't afford to pay the heating. So he's taking jobs on the waterfront, using some kind of hook to pull off a cargo and stack it. He couldn't use his right hand because it's broken. He's using his left hand. So this is all going on. So James J. Braddock is kind of off the scene now. And during this, Max Baer continues his rise. Max Baer was a heavyweight who worked his way through the ranks of heavyweight boxing. He fought Primo Carnera, who was a world champion at the time. Managed to beat Carnera, knocked him down. I don't know whether it was 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 times throughout the fight. I think on one of the times when he hit Carnera, they both fell to the ground, and I think Max Baer shouted out something like "last one up's a sissy," I think was his exact words. To put it in perspective, Max Baer was around about, I think it was about 215, 220 pounds. I think he was around about 6'2", 6'3", and Primo Carnera, I mean, even nowadays he'd be a big heavyweight. Primo Carnera was, I believe, 6'6" at 270, so a big guy and conditioned, not fat, but conditioned and symmetrical. However, he wasn't particularly a great boxer. He didn't particularly have a great punch. And I don't know if you agree, but there might be some parallels with he was actually WBA champion, and Holyfield lost to him, the big 7-foot giant who boxed. What was his name?
Pulev,
big 7 foot, and
David
Hay fought him. Yeah, and even though he's a big guy, I'm not saying he couldn't hit. I wouldn't want to dig off him, but he wasn't known as a big puncher or a particularly great boxer. But his size made him an attraction.
Hongman Choi as well in the kill.
Hongman Choi. Was he nearly 8 foot? He was a big dude.
Bigger now.
Yeah,
I think when Badwa Hurry knocked him out, I mean, he's not at least with 6'6" or something.
Yeah.
He was jumping up to punch him.
Big guy. So Baer beat Primo Carnera, become world champion. One thing I will say, before, and obviously I want to get your feel if you've read the book or seen the film. I do recommend this book. Sorry, Cliff, I never lifted it up, I don't think. Did that Cinderella Man by Jeremy Schaap. For me, this is one of the best books on the subject of the Cinderella Man. I'm sure you recognise the movie starring Russell Crowe.
Yep.
And who played his wife, the famous actress? She was in... was it Ridley Jones' Diary or Bridget Jones's? What was she called? The famous. She was in with Tom Cruise. It'll come anyway.
Bernice Zellweger.
There you go, Renée Zellweger. Thank you. She played his wife. So Renée Zellweger and Russell Crowe. The reason I like this book so much is because what it does, it's a very easy read. It's really well set out, absorbs you straight away. You feel as if you're actually there. But what's so good is the way he does it is in the first chapter is about both fighters, but then each chapter is a fighter's progression. So he'll do a chapter on James J. Braddock, a chapter on Max Baer, and then alternate between the two. So anyway, so James J. Braddock, his manager Joe Gould had been going out trying to find him fight. So he found him a fight against a guy called, I think it was Corn Griffin, I think it was, who was basically the young kind of up and coming knockout artist, and they wanted James J. Braddock just to come back just so they could use his name and have him, then beat up an old man. So this Corn Griffin would beat up an old man, James J. Braddock, because he still carried some weight with his name. I think he was paid $250 for the fight, which was a fortune to him because, as I say, he couldn't afford the electric. He was kind of begging for money. And James J. Braddock come out and just destroyed this Corn Griffin in 2 rounds, which then allowed him to work his way up to fight again for the heavyweight world title. One thing I will say, and I'll get your opinion on the book and on the film, the one thing that the film does do that's actually historically incorrect that really stood out was the way that they portray Max Baer's character. I was
going to say that, yeah.
And I really disagree with that because the way that he is, the way he looks and his body and the way that he laughs and jokes is all, from what I can study, very true. But what isn't true is that the way they portrayed him as being very aggressive and very...
A killer.
Yeah, I mean, he did actually... He killed a couple of men. He was devastated, and that bothered him for years. His son said that even 20 years later, he'd see his dad just sitting crying to himself about who he damaged. He was a nice bloke. He was a lovely man, a lovely guy, a joker, but they portrayed him in the film as being just an aggressive, kind of just an aggressive, challenging kind of horrible person who reveled in hurting people, and that wasn't the case at all.
Yeah, I've seen a documentary on Max Baer as well. He was just a farm boy. He didn't really want to be a boxer, I don't think.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, I don't think
he was just a joker, like the women, like the party scene.
Good for him.
And he was just good at boxing at the time.
Yeah,
in the era he was good at it. But like you say, the film made him out to be like an horse, really.
Yeah, like I was going to say, arse is about the best description for it, yeah.
But he wasn't. He was actually a nice fella.
Yeah. I mean, they probably did that just for the drama, wouldn't it? Because he's good against bad, but he was actually a good guy. Have you read this book? Do you read it all?
I do read. It's probably my kind of book. I read like biographies.
It's. I'll tell you. I think we've got something. Hang on. Have you seen the film?
Yeah, I've seen the film, yeah.
How did you feel about the film?
I thought it was a good film. Like I say, after the film, I had a good look into Max Baer, though, thinking he's killed people in the ring. Yeah. And he wasn't bothered, but he was. He was really bothered. Yeah. So, I know it's Hollywood and that, but I think discrediting him like that was a bit,
I felt it was discrediting.
Yeah, it's a bit much, because that wasn't his personality.
Yeah, yeah. I think the rest of the film was... I think it was quite accurate, and I liked even the fights against Canera, the way they portrayed that. Russell Crowe's performance was fantastic. The chap who played Joe Gould is also a very good actor, and I think it was fantastic the way it did it, peaked, and it was just a beautiful fight film. But that was the outstanding part for me, was the way Max Baer was portrayed. I think, yes, fair enough, build a drama, but in a sense, don't discredit his character. Yeah,
I was a bit disappointed with that. I like the way that Braddock was winning, though. It's the hunger and the fighter. I think it was Dempsey's saying that if you know for 2 days, that's where you get your hunger from.
Yeah, yeah.
And he literal. He was starving. He had to win. If you win fights, I think at the time as well, it was a risky one. I think we're trying to portray him as a journeyman.
Yes,
a journeyman who wins fights doesn't get fights. If you want to be a journeyman, you've got to last the distance, but you've got to not take any punishment. You kind of get knocked out because you kind of fight again for 28 days. But he didn't. He went for it. He ended up become champ again. Did he not go into Southpaw for a bit?
I think he possibly did. I remember in his camp. James J. Braddock in the camp, because then he was pitted against, I think we said, Max Baer for the world title. He was, because he beat Tommy Longran, he beat a couple of other fighters. I do know that he got up to his heaviest weight. I think he would normally fight at like just touching in the 180s at heavyweight. Yeah. But I'm sure he got near to 200. But they also say that he gained an inch in height during camp. That's actually in the book, from 6'2" to 6'3", because he was 29 when he fought for the title against Max Baer. But I can't confirm if he did turn southpaw. He may well have. Sorry, is that possible? I don't think it is, but it's that's what all the newspapers had said at the time.
I grew, from I was a late starter puberty. I didn't start puberty. I was 16.
Yeah.
But I was 5'4". I was 15. Yeah. And then I grew later, and I'm sure I was about 6'1".
Yeah.
Before, maybe it's just under 6'2" before I was 26, and I'm 6'3" now, so maybe I can.
There you go. Yeah, they say Irish. You don't have any Irish blood in you, do you?
I do, yes.
Irish men are late bloomers, apparently.
Is that what it is? I'm on side Irish.
I'm hoping I'm going to go in an inch because I'd like to be 6'2". I'm only 6'1". Is it too late for me? It may well be.
You seem much older than me.
It's never too late, Jim.
It's never too late. It's never too late. So no spoilers then. Well, not. I mean, it's the fight itself is nearly 80 years old. I think is it? Would it be 80 years old? Probably not far off. But we'll not spoil it for you. So the fought for the world title. But then what was interesting part of that is I believe then James J. Braddock went on to fight your main guy Joe Louis. And what was interesting is as part of the agreement, the contract for that fight, I believe they negotiated to James J. Braddock's manager's credit, that Joe Gould's credit, that they would receive, I think, something like 5 or 10% percentage of Joe Lewis's future purses. Which is
I think
crazy.
It was one of the first times that happened.
Maybe the last. I don't know.
Yeah, I wouldn't like to give mine away.
No. So the permission to fight for the belt, they would have to then give a percentage of their purse away for the rest of his fights. That wouldn't involve James J.
Liberty what happened to Joe Louis. He was the man at the time, and he got raped to death off the the tax man, of stuff like that. I mean, why should he give? I mean, if he's beat the kid fair and square, why is he giving away all of his purse? Because I think at the time they didn't want to fight Joe Louis. He was the only fight.
Yeah, because of he's a dangerous fighter.
But then Joe Louis was fighting for free. He was giving the money away for charity, and then the taxman got him and bankrupted him.
Yeah,
now, that was the German wrong. Schmeling actually helped pay that bill.
Yeah,
because again that Schmeling, he was being brought out to be like and because he was a Nazi. He was from Germany. I don't think he was a Nazi.
He wasn't. No, he protested heavily against that.
He hated Hitler, but he had to. He had to
portray
go along
that
with
in
it.
a sense. Yeah.
Otherwise, he would get his head chopped off. Probably, but I think he actually helped out Joe Louis.
He did. In life. Max Schmeling actually bought the rights to have Coca-Cola brought into Germany and made a fortune from there, and he supported Joe Louis throughout his whole life. And an interesting connection to that the Klitschko brothers used to talk quite a lot to Max Schmeling. They had a connection with Max Schmeling, which I thought was interesting.
There, aren't they? They're based
in that's Germany. Right, in Germany. They come out of Germany when he was alive.
Did either Vitaly or Vladimir not write to him and he wrote back?
Yeah, that's right. And then they started a connection. Yeah, that's right.
When they were kids, you know?
Yeah.
And in fact, when Vladimir lost to Lehman Brewster, I think he lost to him the first time he came back and beat him.
So the big set lad. Tyson knocked out.
I'm not sure. He had like the dreadlocks in Lehman Brewster, and
no, I think it's someone else.
Not a white guy, black guy. But he was Lehman Brewster. I mean, he ended up with. I think he had problems with his eyes afterwards. But Brewster had stopped Vladimir, and Vladimir just looked knackered. And he said that he suspected something had happened. I think he was just, whatever the reason was, he was just fatigued. And Brewster obviously worked him and won the fight fair and square. But after that fight, I think that's maybe when he'd wrote to Max Schmeling, and Schmeling had said to him, given words something like that there's nothing, that something like this: I've hit rock bottom many times in my life, and there's no disgrace in that. But you have to find the strength to pick yourself up and to keep going.
Got to.
Yeah.
Got to.
I just love the idea.
We've all been there.
And not once, many times, you know.
Yeah.
You know.
Not just fighting anything.
Yeah, absolutely.
Rock bottom, we've all been skint. We've all been, you've just got to, if you've got a bad point, you can only get better on it.
And that comes back to what we said before. But great book. I'm going to give this book, and I mark quite hard, 7 out of 10, which is very good. Film, what would you give the film? I'm going to give the film maybe a 7 out of 10 as well.
Warrior.
Cinderella Man, and then Warrior.
Cinderella. Cinderella Man's a good film. It's a good film. It's got story behind it. It's not all about the boxing neither. There's boxing scenes in it, but it's a good film. I liked it.
Recommendation on Cinderella Man, perhaps?
The film? Oh, definitely recommend the film. I've never read the book, so I couldn't.
Well, I would like to give that to you as a gift.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
There you go. That's yours. You're very welcome.
It's all happening on PEEP Live.
It all happens on PEEP Live.
I think I'm going to cry.
Come on, you're a man that doesn't like flowers. You can't cry. Show no emotion. Show no emotion.
My wife calls us a tin man. She says I haven't got any. She says I haven't got a heart.
I'm sure that's not true. I just hope you enjoy the book as much as I have. I was looking for that. I think that was a bookmark, not a very good one, I think. We have some questions, and then we're going to finish with our competition. Can I just ask, quickly, Mickey, Warrior, mark out of 10, recommended or not? We'll just not mark out of 10. So Cinderella Man, you recommend. Yeah. Warrior, recommend, not recommend?
Yeah, I'd recommend anybody watching it. I like films.
Do you want a show, Polo?
Yeah, I'll have a show, Polo, please. I thought it was a decent film.
Yeah.
Like I say, like we said earlier, if you're looking for great fights, it's robotic. I think the fight scenes are robotic, but the story's not bad.
Yeah, I agree with that. Right, we're gonna have some questions, and we're gonna finish with a competition. Good to have you in as well, mate.
Aye, good seeing you, man.
Zach, 1, 2, 3, Beth. Did you know the phrase "happy as Larry" comes from a boxer called Larry in 1890 who won a big boxing match in a big competition for a lot of money? True. That's
a good fact. Sorry, what was the name of the person who wrote that in?
Zach 1, 2, 3, Beth. Zach
1, 2, 3, Beth. Thank you for writing in. You've just taught us something. That you taught us that the phrase "happy as Larry" comes from a boxer called Larry who won a fight back in a title back in the 1800s.
Don't know, just a big fight.
Won a big fight, and obviously he was happy, and that's where the phrase "happy as Larry" comes from. And thanks for throwing that in, actually, Zach, because each week we like to put in some of the old school phrases like "up to scratch," "worth his salt." Does anybody know where this phrase "worth your salt" comes from? Do you want me to break the suspense?
Oh, well, let's go.
Okay.
I thought that was a
it's got to be
no. That's a question for us in studio and for the audience. Worth your salt comes from back in the day when Roman soldiers weren't necessarily paid by coin; they were paid in salt, because salt was one of the most valuable commodities back in the day. So soldiers would be paid by their salt, and therefore, if you weren't worth your salt, you weren't paid your amount of salt you would chew.
Paid in salt.
Paid in salt, yeah.
Chips must have been good.
That's it. So actually, coming on to that, whenever you're putting salt on your chips, just think, several thousand years ago, 1,000 years ago, worth a fortune. Well, several thousand years ago. We're going to do a question, then we're going to do the competition, and then we're going to eat some cake.
Hurricane Sid.
Hurricane Sid. For Michael.
Who would be his dream fight, past or present?
Who would be your dream fight? Let's say Bare-Knuckle Boxing, past or present. Or in fact,
or boxing.
Any style, any fighter.
Dream fight.
Hitler.
What style?
Controversial.
Hitler, what style?
The one style I could hit him the most.
Let's go for...
I cannot stand the bloke.
Yeah.
Adolf Hitler. I hate everything he stands for. And I would like to really bash Hitler all over.
It's a fair... Bare-Knuckle then?
Anything. Poison little man.
It's interesting. It was that was something we talked. I mean, anyway, we'll not get too deep into that. But yeah, there you go. Question? Should we have a question?
We've got a question. Well, we've got a statement from David Wailing. Nahabuka Takada.
That was it. Takada. Yeah, that was it. Takada with the red shorts I was talking about before. Yeah, from Bushido.
Thanks, David.
You know.
He's a canny kid, Dave.
Big shout out to David Wailing, Duel Fights.
Shout out to David Wailing, Duel Fights.
There's a new website coming soon as well. Probably be next week.
Yeah.
DUELfights.com.
DUELfights.com. Get yourselves along to the show. It's local in Walker.
Yeah.
I think I've got about 5 or 6 lads on my cell. Looking forward to it.
I'm just going to zoom in on the, in fact.
On Ginger Andy.
Oh, there he is. Got him.
That's me mate Andy there. He's got ginger hair, but he's sound. Got a couple of my lads on this post actually. There's another one. Joe Johnson. There's one of my pals, Christian Jocelyn. He's a good fighter, and Lucas as well.
They fight out the Massacre gym?
Yeah, Jimmy's gym, Jimmy Bates' gym. Good fighters, them too. Couple of my lads on the poster as well.
December 17th.
17th, aye.
December 17th.
looking forward to it. Conor Brown as well. He's a canny scrapper too. Should be some good fights on that show.
There's tickets. Shall we give away 2 tickets?
Yeah, we're going to do the competition. We'll throw the competition out. Where are we? Oh, actually, we'll just talk as well. If you want to subscribe to us, obviously you're already subscribed. If you may not be subscribed to PEEP Magazine, if you'd like to subscribe to us at YouTube, it's peepmagazine.co.uk, Twitter at PEEP Magazine, Instagram at PEEP Productions, or email us at contact@peepmagazine.co.uk. Are you on Instagram or any social media?
I'm on Facebook.
So just follow you on Facebook on just Michael Tyrell. Or
yeah,
Mickey
Michael Terrill. I'm not into social media much. No.
Yeah, that's fine.
Facebook, it's just for a laugh, really, and I don't think it's real life Facebook. I just go on just to wind people up and have a laugh, really.
Yeah. If you'd like to follow myself, Team Alpha 1424 on Instagram, on Facebook, page Team Alpha, or on Twitter at Watling Hot. Fantastic. We'll throw that graphic up. Do you train a lot of exercise for less?
When I've got fights coming up,
right.
The Manor gym, it's split between the kickboxing gym and I've got a boxing gym run out there by Manny Burgo and Paul King. And we've also got a dance studio in there, so sometimes it's not available. So we'll get ourselves exercise for less, and it's got a ring in there, it's got a cage, lots of weights. Not that I do many weights, as you can tell by my little arms. We'll get
a weight session in together, and we'll get it on
little weights,
social media.
Little weights.
I don't really go for strength either.
Speed's the way. That's what my wife says.
Speed kills.
It does.
So we've covered a lot of questions for you, and we've had questions from the audience. We had a last question was who would your dream fight be, and we'd answered that. So we're going to move on to the competition. And the competition, first of all, the prize for the competition is 2 tickets to go to this show. We had it up before, the Duel Fights Pro K1 show, Escape from Walker, which is on December the 17th. It's 2 tickets, 2 VIP tickets for this show. Does it also include a meal for 2 at the Blackfriars restaurant in Newcastle? I don't think no. I just wonder because it's an expensive. Have you been there before?
Blackfriars, where's that?
It's off behind Chinatown in Newcastle. I think it's the UK's oldest restaurant. I think it's like £100 for 2 for a 3-course meal and a few drinks. It's. I'm just wondering because if it was, I'm thinking we should enter this competition because I think I might know the answer for it.
Oh, you know the answer there. That'd be handy.
There's no meal then. It's just the 2 tickets. But listen, that's gonna be some show. You'll be winning tickets for Escape from Walker. David Wheel always puts on a fantastic show.
I'm up the graphic as well, James.
Are you doing the commentary on that? Are you?
I don't think so. We'll wait and see.
You
possibly.
Chris Clark.
Yeah.
You might have a guy already, thrown down.
Dave likes to use,
of course.
Chris Clark, but
it keeps.
If there's a spot there,
we'll
get James in.
We'll see what happens. So we've got 2 tickets for the show, and we also have a signed poster, which we're going to ask Mickey if he could sign before he leaves. A signed Duel poster, and we also have an official Team Alpha dry fit training shirt. Pretty Boy Assassin approved. Double XL.
PM. Proper massive.
That's exactly it. PM approved. Mickey Tyrell approved, I think. So we're gonna throw those in. And this is your question. It's quite an interesting one. So this is a question. The question is, and it links a little bit to Michael here. Which on-screen action hero, who was also an accomplished bare-knuckle fighter, uses the signature phrase, and you can see I'm tying this all together, Sweet Christmas. And again, the question is, so I'm tying in genres, I'm tying into box, I'm tying in Christmas. Competition, which on-screen action hero, who was also an accomplished bare-knuckle fighter, uses the signature phrase, Sweet Christmas. Sweet Christmas. That is the question. Now,
and that's for 2 free tickets. yeah.
And that's for 2 free tickets and the Team Alpha Pretty Boy Assassin shirt. Now, the only thing I've just realised is these questions need to come in real time. However, we've waited till the end of the show to throw the question out. So what we're going to do is we're going to extend this. I think we extend this competition out for the next either 48 hours or until the end of the year. How we're going to do this, Cliff? What do you think? I think we extend this until a set date. I'll tell you what we're going to do. The 17th of December, if anybody can send in the correct answer to that question up to the end of the last fight on the 17th of December on the Duel show. No, hang on. Sorry, I'm to myself, Cliff. I wasn't saying that to you. That wouldn't work. We'd have to do it on the 16th because you can win tickets for a show that would have already finished. So, because obviously it's the tickets, I'm thinking the poster and the shirt. So, you must you give us the correct answer by no later than the 16th of December, which is the night before the show. Can we do that?
Yeah, we can do that.
And we can get, because the tickets would be held on the door anyway, wouldn't they? So, let's go through. Sorry, Cliff, what were you going to say? Hold the poster. Okay, so the prizes are 2 tickets to the Duel Escape from Walker show on the 17th of December at the NE6 Suite on Scrog Road. Assigned 2 tickets to the show, 2 VIP tickets, no meal at Blackfriars. Assigned by Mickey Tyrell Duel poster, Escape from Walker. A Team Alpha, Pretty Boy Assassin, dry fit top. And the question is, which on-screen action hero who was also an accomplished bare-knuckle fighter uses the signature phrase, Sweet Christmas? And we would like the correct answer in by no later than the 16th of December. And what we're going to do is ask Michael if he can sign this live so we can show that it's actually Michael's signature. We've not just picked some random out
just
of
anywhere.
Anywhere, please. Yeah, if you don't mind. Thank you. Fantastic.
Who's going to win that?
By the 16th.
And the t-shirt.
And the t-shirt and the dry fit training top and the 2 tickets.
Me, I know the answer.
And have you read? I've got the answer here. I'm not sure Mick the answer. You probably can't read my writing, can you? Can you? I'll tell you after the show. I don't want to give it away on the
show.
Good bare knuckle. That'd actually be a good matchup for you. Be a tough one for you. I'll tell you why after the show.
Excellent. As long as he doesn't punch us, I'll be fine.
That's the show. Have you enjoyed coming on tonight?
I have. It's been a good night.
You've enjoyed. Oh, thank you very much for coming in, Michael. It's been an absolute pleasure to have you. Hopefully the viewers have enjoyed the show tonight. It's been fun. We've had a great selection of guests. We've had we've had Mickey in tonight, world champ. We've had Chris Reed in last week, former pro hockey player. Professional martial artist. Martial artist. We've had Stevie Ibbotson come in with us.
Yeah, Steve's a funny kid as well. Super
light heavyweight dual champion. We've had David Wheel come in. I think that's been all. We've had 4. That's 4 guests. And the first show was we meant to have 3 guests. It was just me holding up the show on my own. Mick, I had about. So I just threw some. I think it was probably one of our longest show. We just talked and.
The Chris Reed one was.
Had a lot of content in. Was it nearly 3 hours with Chris? Yeah. So we thought we'd let you off lightly with a 2 hour 12-minute show.
Is that what it is?
2 hour 12. It's just flown by.
Can Mick say what his fight is?
Yeah. Can we just announce Mick's fight again, please?
Yeah, I'll be fighting at the Indigo Rooms in the O2, January 13th for BKB.
Is there anyone else on that card?
From the northeast. Nobody else from the northeast.
Representing then. Fantastic. So
if you want tickets, buy them. I've got a link on Facebook.
Just get in touch with Michael Terrill.
I'll put a link out on Facebook so everyone knows where to get them from.
So if you want to friend Michael Terrill, is it Michael or Mickey? Is Michael? Is Michael Terrill? Terril.
Double L.
Yeah, Terrrill.
It is actually Terrill, but everyone calls us Tyrell for some reason. It's
Have I been saying Tyrell or Terrill tonight?
Terrill. It is Terrill. I'm not bothered, as long as it's not nasty.
I can pronounce Terrill, but I can't pronounce Deontay.
Hey,
Deontay.
The man says yes.
Denonti.
Detoni.
I like Detoni better than Deontay. Maybe we should ask him if he'll.
My wife likes Tyrell better than Terrill. She thinks it sounds posher.
I like Terrill's good.
Sounds
We'll go for Terrill.
Yeah, but we're from North Shields, so we're not posh.
Not posh.
No.
Man, you got 3 properties.
Aye, but I'm not posh.
But we're not posh.
I just work really hard.
Exactly, hard work.
No,
hey,
I'm not rich. I'm not rich. I just work hard.
He's successful through hard work, yeah?
Aye.
Hard work, the grind. But you've got to be dedicated, you've got to be disciplined. So, we're going to throw out, we're going to close this down. Thank you for joining us, regular viewers and new viewers. This has been PEEP Live episode 5, live in 5. We will be coming back to you in the new year, 2018, with more guests, more combat news, more PEEP EXCESS. So thank you for joining us. Hope you've enjoyed tonight, and we will see you again soon. That's a wrap.